Township Board of Trustees for this beautiful sunny tax day. Anybody excited about tax day?
I am.
Seeing no one. Hopefully that no one's scrambling out here, so it looks like everybody got their taxes off in the mail. Good, thank you. Those don't go to us this time. Those go to the federal government. But we had some business to take care of upstairs in a closed session with some attorney opinions, so that's why we're a few minutes late. Thanks for your patience. If you have not already, please sign in the back and turn your phones to silent. I try to keep things on the screen that we are looking at, but you can also follow along on your smart devices. All the information that we see, you can see on our website, and I'll show you that up here as well. So with that, we always start our meetings with the invocation and pledge. Tonight we are joined by Pastor Rochelle Beckmeyer from Echo Christian Fellowship. So if you'd all please stand and stay standing through the pledge.
Let us pray. Father God, I want to thank you again for appointing people to govern this community, and I do pray for your wisdom and peace, that this be a productive meeting, and I'm just so excited to see so many participating tonight. I pray for your wisdom and your peace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Beckmeyer. Okay. Let's start with some good news. What do you say? Good news?
Good news.
Good news. So we were going to have a presentation from the Pollyant Trail Committee. And Linda Moran is here, I believe, right? Who's the director of the Pollyant Trail? Yep. So, but Linda, we got a little mix-up because if you could come forward, please. I don't know if we have the right slides, but I'm going to just bring you forward anyway because I figured you can wing it, right? All right, good. Because you're not here to do a presentation. Every month, we recognize some of our brightest and best, the people that make our community amazing place to live and recreate. And so, although your good friend Donnie Steele said you had to make some presentation tonight, you don't need to make any presentation. We just wanted to recognize you. Thank you for your hard work. And Linda Moran is our, what month are we? April? April Citizen of the Month. So, and so, Linda, if you haven't met Linda, you haven't been on the trail much because she's a ball of fiery energy, always working on a project. I got a couple texts from Julia this weekend, Miss Dalrymple, who was admiring. Actually, some of these pictures are from Julia. We can't see the screen up here, but we'll be straightening our neck. This is the before. This is our trailhead at Clarkson Road, just literally a few hundred yards north of here, where the Pollyant Trail crosses Clarkson Road. And thanks to Linda and her amazing efforts, we have a proper trailhead now. Tell us a little bit of some of the stuff you've done up there, please.
Well, recently, last weekend actually, we put up a split rail fence to more define the parking lot. We put in 4 different planters. One's a double tier, so that's going to be kind of nice. So this spring, summer, we're going to have some wonderful flower beds out there. We've installed a couple of birdhouses. We've done some cement pads, some new picnic tables, some new bikes, racks. And we have put in for a grant for a lovely bike fix-it station. So if we don't get the grant, we still are going to get a bike fix-it station somehow. We had a water fountain donated and installed last summer. We have benches, everything. We upgraded the parking lot. It's just absolutely fabulous. It's a labor of love of mine. So we worked on that last weekend, and going forward, we're going to continue on. And I think our next stop is Indianwood and Powell Street. So that'll be
Awesome.
the next one. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything, Don?
Well, I thank you for all you've done on that trail. It's been night and day from what it was 2 years ago
Thanks.
to what it is right now, and you have definitely brought in every community to make it a very special trail. And you've cleaned it up, and you put garbage cans and poop bags, and from the top to the bottom with maps and signage, and so
Goats.
Goats.
Yeah. Love my goats.
It looks like you've taken care of it like your living room. So I appreciate it. And then this is part of our Iron Bell head. So it's part of the Iron Bell trailhead. So I just want to say that we really appreciate you.
This is actually the only part of the Iron Bell in our area. They haven't decided which direction to go yet, so this is our actual ending point for right now. So until further notice, this is the Iron Bell. And we are putting in new mile markers this weekend. On Saturday, it's a Boy Scout project. We're going to be taking out our old ones and putting in our new ones, and they're going to be absolutely fabulous. You'll never get lost on the Pollyant Trail again. So,
And then the one last thing is that you had Girl Scouts out there last weekend with 3 pickup trucks full of garbage that you've picked up from Leonard down to Orion. So thank you for
we
that.
did 146 Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. So it was an event. It was a wrangling event of the little ones.
So.
And I think the oldest ones we had were like 9. So they were 6 to 9.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to show you all, when the parts of this meeting get really bored, I'll give you something really exciting to do, I promise, because there will be boring parts of this meeting. If you go to our website, you can click right on the homepage. This is the homepage, Citizen of the Month. Click that. You can see everyone that we've recognized since the first Citizen of the Month in May 2015. And it's really cool. You can see and hear a little bit about what they did and why they were recognized. So check that out. And Linda, we thought that instead of taking a boring picture here in the middle of a meeting like we normally do, no offense to the other people we've taken boring pictures with, we're going to come track you down and take a nice picture out on the trail, because if you go upstairs, you'll see in our lobby the 12 months of previous Citizens of the Month. So thank you for your service to our community. Let's give a round of applause.
And I want to see everybody out on the trail this summer because it's absolutely fabulous. So thank you again.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks.
And you will see we are accepting some easements tonight, temporary easements and permanent easements. And I've been personally knocking on doors of people on East Clarkson Road. And we will start tree clearing on that section of the trail from basically Lapeer Road Dairy Queen, everybody knows Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen Planet Fitness location, and it will connect all the way to the Paint Creek Trail. So that's been a long dream of ours to connect those two regionally significant trails. Those are both part of the Iron Bell Trail Network that goes from Ironwood, Michigan, up near Green Bay, all the way to Belle Isle. That's how they creatively named the trail, Iron Bell. And that we're thrilled that it runs right through Orion Township. So exciting stuff happening. So thank you, Linda. Next, we have one more recognition from our Environmental Resource Committee. I'm going to turn this over to Trustee Flood, who's our representative on the Environmental Resource Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. What the Environmental Resource Group came up with last year, they wanted to come up with some kind of award to recognize some of our small businesses around here that are environmentally friendly, they recycle, they help protect the environment. So this is the second award that this is the spring of 2019 award. And if I could have Sergeant Z come up to the podium, please, representing our fine Oakland County Sheriff's Department here. And I'll go ahead and read the award for you. It's got a cool dragon on it, too. You'll like that.
Nice.
Orion Green Up Award winner, spring 2019. Orion Township and the Environmental Resources Committee proudly presents the Spring 2019 Orion Green Up Award for outstanding green business practices to Oakland County Sheriff's Office for the expired medicine collection program that you set up throughout the county. And to explain to the folks what that expired collection is, out in the substation, you can take all your past expired medications or any medications and put those in a bag and properly put them in that cabinet, and they'll be properly destroyed, because the environment, we have found out that all these controlled substances, opioids, all that bad stuff, when you flush it down the toilet or put it in your garbage, it ends up back in the environment. And that's in our water and in our agriculture. So, please.
Thank you. And thank you to the committee, and Lieutenant Toth wanted to apologize for not being here. He's ill. But it's something we've been doing for 9 years, and they take anywhere every month from 20 to 50 pounds of product out of those every month. And if you can't make it during the week, Saturday, April 27th, we partnered with the Health Expo at the Orion Community Center. We're collecting 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And also that same day, the DEA has a special one that we have set up 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's Saturday, April 27th.
Awesome. And can we get a photo op up there with us?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
I need Chairman George Hanley to come up. George is the chairperson of the committee, if he hasn't took off on us.
He was here.
See,
There he
there he
is.
is.
And while they're assembling for their 5 seconds of fame, if you want to look at the monitor, you'll see that as reference, April 27th is the 4th annual Green Up event. You going to talk about this or no? Come on up, Aaron. Well, let's get their picture taken, and then you can share about what's going on the 27th of April. This idea was brought by the Youth Council, a member that was a freshman 4 years ago, or maybe she was a sophomore, but she's since graduated, and she said, why don't we do a community cleanup day? And so that was Madeline Braley. She's the rock star in my book. And so we started this 4 years ago, and now we're back. And talk to us, Aaron, please.
Yep, so we partnered up with the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce with the Healthy Mind, Healthy Body Expo, April 27th, 1 to 4 p.m. So this event is as you go around the community, you notice areas are pretty gross with trash and litter, and it's a time to take a moment and clean up our community. So we'll have lunch there. We'll have projects. If you want to stop by, we can assign a project to you, give you some trash bags, go out and just clean up the area. If you can't do it during the 1 to 4 p.m., all week long. If you want a project, shoot us an email, give us a call. We'll give you a project. Go out there, clean it up with the family or friends, take a picture, just spend some time and make Orion beautiful. So.
You didn't say our tagline, make Orion green again? Nobody thinks that's funny except for me. Sorry.
That's our tagline?
Not
Okay.
getting political, I promise.
Do we have flyers anywhere?
Are there flyers at the back table? It's on our website, and we can get some flyers at the back table. You know, but I've had a couple residents reach out to me, and we don't want to go. They're not going to come sign up with us. That's fine. It'd be great to know if you're doing like Stonegate Ravines in the southeast part of our township. They're going to do a neighborhood cleanup that day, and they're just kind of doing it like, hey, this is the day we're all doing it. So feel free to get your neighbors. For whatever reason, we have a lot of garbage that's blown around our community the past few months. And so this would be a great opportunity to sort of clean that up. Some of the key areas we hear a lot of complaints about, like the intersection at Joslin and Brown is on the list. So there'll be, whether you want to clean up your own neighborhood or bring a group or bring your kids or a group from your church, ideally, we would love to have you show up between 1 and 4 at the Orion Center on next Saturday and check in with us, get a project. We have some T-shirts if they're still available, and trash bags and things you might need. So
T-shirt, food, community service for high school students or anyone. So on average, we've collected right around 40 yards of trash and cleaned up 20 to 25 sites each year. So
awesome.
I know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And again, thanks to George. Did George leave again? Oh, George Hanley, who is our Environmental Resource Committee Chair, which we doubled their pay this year. If you're really good at math, 2 times 0 is still?
0.
Thank you. So anyway, but it's a great, and his team and his group, and he's also involved in the Lake Association, has been a huge part in helping clean up the stream at Paint Creek and all around the lake and other things. So thank you, everyone. A couple more things to take care of here at the front end of the meeting. We have 3 proclamations. These are, I'm not going to read them. All of them are available on our website. But I will let Dave Goodlow come to the podium just briefly and just mention Building Safety Month is in May, and we have a cool event coming up. So circle this on your calendar. Dave, tell us about it,
Dave
please.
Goodlow, building official. Yeah, on the May 9th, it's a Thursday from 5 to 8, we're going to promote Building Safety Month at the Orion Center. We're going to have some events for kids to put together some tree houses and some toolboxes, and we'll have some educational material. And we'll be there to answer any questions that people may have to promote Builder Safety Month for the month of May. It is sponsored by ICC, which is the International Construction Code, and it's nationwide. And we're here to spell it, and obviously you're proclaiming it as Builder Safety Month, so we're excited about it, and we're excited about promoting it and really getting the building department out there to promote the building department as well. I hope we'll have a couple more events to do in that month also. So.
Donnie?
I just want to make a comment that I think it's a great idea because we need to promote trades and that put kids on a different paths other than the same path that they've been on. And
Yeah, we also plan on getting, hopefully getting into some of the schools and talking to some of the students about trades and safety in the building department. So look forward to it.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep, you're welcome.
So the 3 proclamations are the Neuro Fibromatosis Awareness Month in the month of May, the Building Safety Month for the month of May, and Mental Health Month, which is an extremely important issue for the month of May. And all those proclamations are available on our website. For the sake of time, I won't read them all tonight. We will go ahead and move on to everyone's least favorite part of the meeting, the approval of the bills. And these run of bills is extremely high for several reasons. One, that we haven't met in a month. But I'd entertain a motion and then discussion. Yes, Clerk Schultz?
I would like to make a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $3,444,425.02 as presented, and I do have a couple of comments.
Support.
Okay, Mr. Flood supported. And go ahead with your comments.
Yeah, I want to thank Tandem Graves in the clerk's office. She's been working really hard to make sure that all of these bills, even though we were away for an extra 2 weeks before we approved it, all of them have been approved and filed properly. We have EFT payments and ACH payments, and we just want to make sure that everybody's aware that that information is available in the clerk's office should you want to see it. And we do have an itemized bill listing before the Board of Trustees that includes the payrolls along with all of the bills that are being presented tonight.
Okay. And Is there any other comments from the board at this time? Donnie?
I was happy to see a lot of the cleanup and in the Parks and Rec and getting ready for spring, including our soccer goals. So looking forward to a good Parks and Rec year.
Great. All right, seeing no board, further board, John, go ahead.
Just so people are aware, they don't have the stuff in front. The biggest hitter on here is the Baldwin Road. I mean, that's, that's like 2.2 million of the close to 4, so, that's a lot of it. And obviously, that's moving along. So,
Have you seen Baldwin Road lately, the new lights?
Beautiful.
Awesome, that's very cool. All right, is there any public comment? Anybody scrutinize their bills? Because you can do that. Anyone want to talk about them? Seeing no one come forward, Clerk Schultz, would you please call the roll?
Schultz, yes. Dio?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Stymo?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Looks like someone raised their hand.
Passes 7-0, the bills are paid. That brings us to one of several opportunities you will have to talk to us tonight, if you so choose. First is this one. This is anything that's not on our agenda. So if you're here for something that is on our agenda, to talk about the garbage ordinance or to talk about anything else on the agenda, we'll give you a chance as that comes up. This is for anything that's not on tonight's agenda. So does anyone want to talk to us about a non-agenda item?
3 times.
And we ask that you keep, name and record for the, your name and address for the record. And we ask that you try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. As you see, we have a full agenda. Thank you.
Supervisor Barnett, Rob Hart did give us copies at your places of what he would like to talk about tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Hart. I'm a resident of Keatington Housing Development, 2731 Browning Drive. I'm also a member of the Keatington Homeowners Association Board of Directors. Joining me tonight are Troy Husk and Paul Dupre, who are also residents of Keatington. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to try and make a 15-minute presentation, so I'm going to go very quickly. But I'll describe a long-standing safety problem we have on Voorhees Lake caused by one of our residents. I'll describe why the problem is serious, what avenues have been considered to resolve the problem, and finally request that Orion Township Board enact an ordinance to protect the health and safety of township residents. As a resident of a lakefront community and living on a lakefront property, we expect to enjoy summer and winter activities on the lake. But on Voorhees Lake, in the wintertime, we're exposed to an unsafe ice condition caused by one of the residents irresponsibly operating an ice retarder device on their dock. And I'd like to just review quickly why falling through ice is so dangerous. The first reflex you have when you hit cold water is you immediately take a gasp. And where this ice retarder is operated, the water is about 4 or 5 feet deep. But Voorhees Lake, in this area, the bottom is marl, which is very loose sediment, of about 2 or 3 feet. So the water may as well be 8 feet deep. So if you fall in, unless you somehow stop yourself, you're going to go under. If you take a gasp, you just drowned. The game's over right then. If you survive that, body loses heat 32 times faster in cold water than in cold air. Within 3 to 5 minutes, your neuromuscular reflexes stop. You can no longer move your legs. If you're unable to get out of the water within 10 minutes, you will not be able to get out by yourself. If there's not somebody with you, within a very short time you have hypothermia, which causes confusion, lack of coordination, and your body temperature only has to drop 4 degrees for that to happen. Now, just quickly, what is an ice retarder? They're generically called bubblers. There is a type that actually is a bubbler that pushes compressed air in a sunken tube. What's typically used as an agitator, which is a 1/2 to 1 horsepower motor that pulls up the warmer bottom air towards the surface and melts the ice where you want it melted. It should be run with a controller so that it only operates 2 to 4 hours a day, and it should only be run when the air temperature is below freezing. The pictures that show good operation, which show a very small melted area around the dock, and then another picture that shows bad operation, which shows a very large area. And these devices, if operated improperly, and I'll show 2 pictures taken that Troy took with his drone on Voorhees Lake, During both of these pictures, several hundred yards away from this area, there were people ice skating. The ice was thick enough where people could ice fish, ice skate, but this device created open water over at least an acre of lake surface area. One of the most dangerous things is with the type of winters we have in Michigan with the rising and lowering temperatures, when the temperature goes down, an area freezes that had previously been open water, and then you get snow on top of it, where around that area you may have thick ice, but on that area the ice may only be a half an inch thick, but you can't tell that when there's snow on it. Over the whole rest of this area of Voorhees Lake, the ice was thick for skating, ice fishing, and so forth. So what have we done? Okay, we recognize no ice is safe ice, but this running this device is negligence. All of us since 2011 have made requests to this resident and been rudely rebuffed. The board, the homeowners association board has gone to this person, made a recommendation for using a timer and a temperature controller, and to turn down reduce the area, also rudely rebuffed. We've considered legal action on our deed restrictions, and our attorney advises us that the deeds do not cover the water, that we don't have any grounds for that. We've contacted the MDEQ, both Troy and I have done that, and their regulations pertain to docks. The docks cannot interrupt water flow, cannot interfere with access. A device attached to the docks, they're not so sure about that. We've considered a civil lawsuit for a public nuisance. Our attorney advises us that we don't have standing because we don't have concrete damages. If someone goes through the ice, then we'll have standing. We've made requests to Orient Township several times for some kind of ordinance enforcement. We don't have an ordinance. So I'd like to, with Dan's forgiveness, the duty of care obligation, that a person act towards others in the public with watchfulness, attention, caution, prudence, the reasonable person in the circumstances would. If a person's actions do not meet the standard of care, then the acts can be considered negligent. Certainly the homeowner is negligent. I don't take the position that the Keating Homeowners Board has done everything they can. I think Orient Township has to consider their liability on this issue. Okay, what have others done? I've contacted the Lake Orion Lake Association. They have several residents running these devices, but they only run them in the spring when the ice starts to melt so that the current doesn't take out the docks. Jerry Richards informs me that running them all winter is expensive and can create a hazard for others, so they don't do that. They have responsible homeowners. Fenton Township has outlawed ice retarders. Secord Township has outlawed ice retarders. Lincoln Township has outlawed ice retarders. Harrison Township requires that a perimeter fence or a railing be put around the open water or a rope with a large sign saying danger, thin ice, warning. Municipalities in eastern and northern states require that the ice retarders be operated to not create open water in excess of 20 to 25 feet from the dock. And I'll just end this by saying ice retarders are not necessary. There's 20 of us that have permanent docks on Lake Voorhees. None of us run ice retarders. There's hundreds of removable docks on Lake Voorhees. There's plenty of floating docks on Lake Voorhees. No one except for one resident thinks they need to run an ice retarder. So what I propose is a ice retardant systems proposed ordinance, and I would consider this for all of Orient Township, but I would be happy with Voorhees Lake as a starter. And that's that the ice retarder must not create open water in excess of 25 feet from the dock. Every structure for which an ice retarder is in use shall be posted. Why Voorhees Lake? As I mentioned, it's a natural kettle lake. It's not a dammed up stream like Lake Orion. It does have a marl, soft bottom. There is no commercial marina. The Keating Homeowners Association fully supports this ordinance. And it could be a beta site for a township-wide ordinance. So, I don't know, Paul or
Thank
Troy?
you. I let you go. It's about 8 minutes almost, but that's,
I'm sorry.
I know you, no, it's okay. And we have met several times, and I appreciate your activism and the amount of work you've put in research into this and educating us and helping us understand. Did you guys want to add anything, or? Okay.
I have 3 small children, and they're well aware to stay away from that area, but that area oftentimes comes into my property riparians. So a lot of times we can't even use the water or the ice as we would like to, and it just causes a danger for my family, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you. So appreciate the comments. We don't get back and forth here, so I just would say thank you at this time and let the board know that if this is something that we would like to have on a future agenda to discuss potentially drafting an ordinance, we have attempted, we've engaged Dan Kelly a few times to try to see if we could help assist them in ways that they could address this situation. We've engaged with the building department, with ordinance enforcement. We've written warnings to the homeowner. It is possible one of the next steps could be an ordinance. I know that you've done a great job, Mr. Hart, of referencing communities that have ordinances. There are lots of communities that don't. There's lots of people that don't think it's our business to regulate that aspect. And then there's even the certainly communities that have ordinances, but the waters are under the purview of the DNR. So there's some things there that we would just need to talk about as a board as to if we want to pursue this as a potential.
I would like to. I'd like
Okay.
to add it to an agenda
Okay.
and talk about it at least.
I support that.
Okay. So thank you for coming. So what we will do is we won't catch you up. We'll let you know when we plan on talking about this. Anything additional that you have uncovered that you haven't already given me, if you want to drop it by the office?
I can send you a copy of this
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah, if you could send me that, that's great.
It's kind of similar to what we talked about.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yep. And we'll just do that informally. I know you said you'd support that, but we didn't do a vote. We
Supporting
just
Penny's.
to come back and talk about a potential ordinance. Yes, sir.
Hi, Tom Denton, 322 North Baldwin Road, Clarkston.
What was your last name, sir? I'm sorry.
Denton, D-E-N-T-O-N. I didn't know these gentlemen were going to make this proposal, but I run an aerator on private property for a livestock small pond. So in your considerations, please keep your ordinance to public access waterways and leave small private ponds alone. That's all.
Thank you. And as you can just see right there, you can see the when we are discussing ordinances, we have to always understand how it impacts everyone. So, and I'm sure you'll hear that later on in tonight's meeting as well. Yes.
Good. Pastor Rochelle Beckemeyer, Echo Christian Fellowship, 2840 West Clarkston. And I'm speaking on behalf of UMA, which is, depending on where you are, it's Orion Oxford Ministers Association. So when we're here, it's Orion Oxford Ministers Association.
It's always that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I wanted to get into the minutes. First of all, this Friday is a Good Friday service at Oxford United Methodist Church at noon. It's a community-wide event. All the churches are invited and are participating, putting on an event. An offering will be taken for Oxford Orion Fish. Oxford Orion Fish? I think that's what it's called. And the other event that's coming up in May is May 2nd, the National Day of Prayer Breakfast at King of Kings Lutheran Church of Lake Orion. It's at 8 a.m., and that offering will be taken for Oxford Pregnancy Center. So I just wanted to make sure y'all knew about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment about non-agenda items? We'll give you a chance to talk more soon.
One more.
Next item.
Oops.
One more.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Michelle.
I'm so short, you didn't see.
Shutting you down.
Sorry, Michelle.
That's okay.
better be-
Michelle Arquette, Palermo, 1245 Rhodes Road, Orion Township. And maybe this is somewhat related, but I don't really know because I confess that I did not look at the agenda before I came. I just had this in my had to come up here today and say something to you very quickly. Like most Orion residents that are on Facebook, and you get caught up in the emotion of lots of things. And one of them, of course, that has been monopolizing the time of social media in this township is trash. And frankly, I never really gave it much of a thought. But as a person who is a scientist, I kind of wanted to understand some things from a scientific point of view. And I'm here to ask you to highly, please consider a single hauler system. And I know that that is a very emotional topic in this community. And if you look at the internet, media, also scientific studies across this country, it is a very emotional issue. Orion is not unique in that. But just a few facts I really would like you to take in consideration.
I pause you for one moment.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me interrupt you. Can you save your facts for the first item on the pending business, which we'll be to shortly, which is going to be to discuss this?
Sure.
Because I think if you say some things, then other people might want to refute those things, and we're not going to get into a debate, and I'll explain the ground rules for that when we
Okay.
get there. But if you don't mind, because
I would
that
be
is
happy
that
to
is
do
item.
that.
If you're here to understand or talk about what we're discussing about our garbage ordinance, that is the first item on pending business.
Okay.
And although it looks like it's like 3 hours from now, everything on consent will be approved in one vote.
Okay. So that concludes
If
my
I could
3-minute
pause you,
statement.
that will give you the rest of your 2 minutes, the rest of your 3 minutes in a few minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. I thought for sure you were going to talk about slow row, but Kathy's still with us.
We've got 2 months left.
Okay.
Had a girl.
And one more. Hello.
Hi.
Kathy Klein, Waste Management. I'm just here this month, and I'll be here one more time in May before the event takes place to remind everybody about Free Disposal Day. It is Saturday, June 8th, and it will also be a second one, September 14th. So I'm going to leave the flyer with the clerk, but it is also posted on the Township's website. I'd like to remind residents, this is not the NOHAS event. That is a separate event. You can Google NOHAS Oakland County, and you'll see the dates for that listed. This is specifically for non-hazardous, regular municipal waste, odds and ends at home that you want to finally get rid of. It's a no-charge day for Orion residents, and there are some special conditions, so please be aware of that before you show up with things that maybe we cannot accept. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And just so, I know she mentioned it, but this is for an Orion Township resident. You'll have to show your ID, just to show that you live here, and then you can offload a bunch of stuff that you're trying to clean out of your garage.
Yes,
As
and
long as it's
people
not on-
really do take advantage of it. It's a very popular event.
It's free.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. That concludes public comment for now. We'll give you a chance in a few to chat more with us. We need to approve tonight's agenda. I know there are several changes.
I got a boatload.
Go ahead, I'm going to just throw it to the clerk to run through hers, and then we'll see if there are any additional.
So we're up in the double of the alphabet. So we're going to add for 10CC, Investment Management Agreement Schedule A inclusive. We will add 10DD, Health Reimbursement. 10EE, Accept Employee Resignation. If you take a look at 10C, it should read Minutes Joint Meeting, April 10th, 2019. And drawing your attention to pending business, 11E. The resolution for the MTA nonpartisan resolution is an updated memo. That's at your places. And also for reports, 12B and 12C are one and the same. We inadvertently separated them, but there's only one report to receive and file. So combine 12B and 12C.
Okay. And then I would just I would ask that, I agree with all those. I have 2 more changes I'd like to propose. I want to remove the contract renewal with Oakland County Equalization. I want to put that on a future meeting. We have some questions we need to get cleared up. That's consent item W. What's that?
W.
Yep. And then I would propose that we move down item 10J, Hire Budget and Procurement Director, to make that the first item, call it AA or A1 on pending business. And are there any other changes to the, are there any changes to the amended agenda? Or a motion to approve as amended?
I'll move to approve as amended.
Support. Okay, so that was moved by Flood, supported by Bernie. Any comments, questions, public? Oh, well, no public comment on this, at least. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We have an agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. And I do, again, read these. I know you can see them on the screen. You have them in front of you, but some people are watching at home, like my mom, who just got home from Florida today. Hi, Mom. Lots of people watch our meetings at home. So the board will be taking action on the following items in one vote, should the consent agenda be approved. First, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support. Okay, so the motion and support would be by Schultz and Bernie, would be to take the following action. Approving minutes from a regular meeting, public hearing from our Silverwell Point concept plan minutes, minutes from our joint meeting on April 10th, approving a temporary sign fee waiver request from the Gingiville Community Church, a request for a temporary street closure we'd be approving for the Kern Adams and West Gun Roads, accepting a donation of a temporary easement from the Stoleys for that Clarkston Trail that I mentioned earlier, approving two peddler and solicitor license applications, one for Sugar Rush and one for Rove Pest Control, approving a special permit for Friends of Camp Agawam to serve alcohol at an event, we're doing that on next on pending. Appointing Environmental Resource Committee volunteer. Approving the Sunset Hills Private Road Maintenance SAD. We're scheduling that for a public hearing. We're scheduling a public hearing for the Square Lake water quality control. We're authorizing a cost estimate for the Elkhorn Lake water quality control. We're authorizing another cost estimate for the Long Lake water quality control. These are all special assessment districts. And then a couple more here on special assessment districts, the Mill Lake Gardens private road maintenance cost estimate, the Bunny Run road maintenance cost estimate. And then we would be amending our Ordinance 132, which is our Parks and Recreation Ordinance, to have a alcohol rules and policy update, approving our Marine Patrol agreement with the Oakland County Sheriff's Marine Unit Division, a request for proposal for some outdoor exercise equipment in our Parks and Rec Department, awarding bid for paving and seal coating, awarding a bid for a new roof at Friendship Park on the main pavilion out there. Contract renewal is on the next meeting. We will not be taking action on this meeting. Requesting a fireworks display permit at Indianwood Golf Club, waiving building permit fees for 1632 Newman Road, leasing a vehicle in the building department. We're amending the plumbing fee schedule, authorizing the purchase of some video conference equipment through a regional assistance to firefighter grant, approving our investment management agreement, improving our health reimbursement to employees, healthcare reimbursement, and finally, accepting an employee resignation. Those are the items we'd be taking action on tonight in the consent agenda. That's what happens when we don't meet for 4 weeks. There's a lot of stuff that happens around here. So thanks for your patience as I bumbled through all that stuff. Any comments or questions from the board? Mike, then Donnie.
I'd like to make your residents aware that we're doing the same police patrol for Lake Orion Lake and Voorhees Lake. Same contract we've always had in the past years. So that'll be on this for this coming year.
Thanks, Mike. Donnie, you had your hand up?
Two comments. One, I appreciate thank you for the donation of the Clarkson Road temporary easement along for our safety path extension. Appreciate that. Are we down to one more, I think, after that?
Yeah, we're down to one.
We're down to one. And then I appreciate Jeff Schultz, who is our building inspector, who has submitted his letter of resignation. He was a good employee, and he will be greatly missed. Sincerely.
Ditto. I agree with that. Any other comments from the board on any of these items? Any public comment? If you're here on any of those items, we're going to vote on them all at one time. Okay, seeing no one come forward. If you know someone that wants to be a building inspector and is qualified, we'd love to talk to them. And thanks to Chief Duke for bringing that video conference equipment grant to us. That's great. That can also be used by other departments as well. So that's kind of a cool thing. I don't know if you, hopefully you were able to read through that. Our board packet tonight is 699 pages. It's not a joke, the information we're reviewing tonight. So there's a lot here. And there was one more I wanted to mention as well, but since I can't find it right now, I'm not going to. So with that, it was moved by Schultz, supported by Bernie. We need a roll call, please.
Dalrymple? Yes. Flood?
Yes.
Stimo?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Okay, 7-0. Thank you. It takes us to page 2 on your agenda, which is pending business. The first item on tonight's pending business would be a request to hire a budget and procurement director. So the board previously created and approved the filling of this position, a budget and procurement director, a full-time position. 2 rounds of interviews were conducted in the unanimous recommendation from our committee, which included Allison, our HR director, myself, Clerk Schultz, Treasurer Steele, and then we had Samantha Timko, my chief assistant, and then we had one of our auditors from Plant Moran, one of the partners on our audit, sit in as well and ask some financial questions. But anyway, the unanimous recommendation would be to hire Ashley Coyle to fill the position, and Ashley is here tonight. Say hi to Ashley. It's probably the weirdest job interview you've ever had, live on TV. But if you didn't know and why this seems weird, maybe is one, it's a new position. A lot of times if we're filling a position, we would do that on consent, but it is a new position that we've created here. It's a need that we've identified, so I'm really excited about having this position filled and having Ashley join our team. And so I would entertain a motion, and then we can discuss it. And I would just add that we need to make the necessary budget adjustments to the end of the motion, just to satisfy our clerk's office because in the role they fill. So there'll be a motion first, and then we can discuss it. Donnie?
I'd like to make a motion to hire Ashley Coyle as Budget and Procurement Director, a full-time, non-union salaried position at $75,000 per year plus benefits, at a start date to be determined contingent upon passing all applicable tests and screening, and make the necessary budget adjustments.
Support.
Okay.
Slow. That was too slow.
Oh, supported by Bernie. Any comments, questions? Yes, Penny.
It was a great process. I was glad that we were able to interview, and thank you, Ashley. I'm looking forward to working with you. This is a new position for the township, and I agree, it's something that's going to help every department head and the township to be able to focus on some of those requirements that we need. I'm really looking forward to her start date, and I just wondered approximately, does anyone have an idea when that's going to occur? Have we heard?
May 6th.
May 6th?
May 6th, the first full week in May.
Excellent. Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. Good question. Any other comments or questions from the board? John?
Just in general, like, when we kind of did the position, I'm not necessarily that thrilled about the position. I'm still confused. It seems like some of these tasks are tasks that we assign to other positions that haven't really kind of taken full boat, but whatever. So that's gone and passed, though. So now, like I said, I'm going to support this. I mean, you went out and did it, and this is the person who, so it's not like I'm going to vote no because of that person, but I still is questioning whether the position is really needed and well-defined as far as some of the other positions we had that supposedly handled some of the same stuff, so, anyway.
Okay, good questions. I would tell you that, that we did have a very lengthy discussion before we approved the position, and the job description was discussed with the union employees and some of the people that have maybe some similar duties that we talked about. We had lengthy discussion between Sam, Allison, and HR. I really wasn't involved, but the employees, and ultimately we came up with a job description that was approved by this board. That was agreed to by the union that wasn't taking duties from anyone else that currently works here. So just good question, though, for sure. Any other comments or questions? Mike?
Mr. Supervisor.
Yep.
My opinion is we've needed this job position far too long. As a trustee, we have a fiduciary responsibility to show me the money. We have department heads who present us a annual budget. They don't have the expertise to project these costs and these projects out 5, 10, 15 years. Very familiar with this working in the private sector. Very lacking. We have a lot of money in this township that we have, like a safety pass. We have projects in the safety pass that are still 5 years on the books. No one can track that. We need this expertise to show us we're on the timelines, where's our budget at? One more thing. Union employees do not need to be representing the township, a resident, at contract time, showing where the money's at. That's the township's responsibility, and we have to protect the township taxpayer on that. So that's where I'm coming from on this. I think we're going to get a lot of bang for our buck, and I guarantee one thing. She's going to keep busy, because I'm going to be hounding her, no matter who's in that position. I want to see the facts and data, so I can make good decisions when it comes time to spend that taxpayer dollar. That's where I'm coming from.
Donnie?
I have a comment about the procurement portion of the position. And I think that right now we have a lot of different ways in which we pay our billing with our accounts payable. And a lot of different contracts. We charge a lot of things. We bill things. We have bills come in. And having one standardized way in which we, and a policy, a purchasing policy, is a good start as well, too. We've identified one, and we just need to implement it. And I think that having this person to do that, I think will actually save the township dollars as well.
Thank you. Seeing any other comments from the board? Public comment? I'm going to take the last word. Ashley, welcome the other side benefit, and it wasn't intentional, but she already is a member of our community, so we're really excited about that. So she's already part of our committee, or part of our community. Now she'll just call this place her work home. So hopefully, if none of this scared you away yet, we'll see you May 6th. And with that, I'd entertain a roll call vote, please.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple? Yes. Flood?
Yes.
Steinmo?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Welcome aboard. So the board does yay. Please start studying our books. Yeah, and that might seem strange, because raise your hand if this is your first time ever being at a township meeting. A couple of you. So some of this stuff might seem strange, and we do this all the time, 7 years for me, and some of these people a lot longer than that. I won't age anyone, but we work for you, and there's certain things that I have authority to do, but the board does the hiring and firing, or the hiring at least, on behalf of the township. So that's why it might seem strange in some of the way we pay bills and things like that, but it's all about being transparent, and we like to follow the rules here. So thank you and congratulations. Next item on tonight's agenda is item 11A, which is the Ordinance 73, Solid Waste and Recyclable Materials Collection Regulation. So there is no secret that there has been quite a bit of discussion as of late regarding garbage pickup in Orion Township. And so the board has been tasked and has had to make some really difficult decisions. I will kind of premise this whole discussion by saying that, and if you've talked to me on the phone, you probably heard me say this, but everyone that you see up here lives in the community. We're your neighbors. We have our garbage picked up by the same companies that pick up your garbage. We pay our taxes to the same, we're your neighbors. We just have raised our hand and said we'd be willing to take a little more engaged role. Penny, Donnie, and myself are the 3 full-time electeds. The other 4 are basically part-time, very small paid volunteers. That said, we're tasked with making a lot of difficult decisions on behalf of the 40,000 people that we represent. And I've said this many times. I have 3 daughters, and raise your hand if you have more than one kid. Raise your hand if you can. Keep your hand up if you can always keep your kids happy, all of them at the same time. Does anybody have their hand up? Because I need some parenting advice. Okay, no one's hands are up. I'm not saying that the residents are children. I don't take it that way. I'm just saying it's really difficult to make everybody happy all the time. We have to listen to people that make really good arguments, like Bob Hart. The first time I met with Mr. Hart, I said, "Holy smokes, we need a bubbler ordinance like tomorrow. This makes great sense, very scientific, very good presentation." And then I started thinking about, wait a minute, other people use bubblers like this, John. We just had a perfect example of how we can get in these catch-22s. Hey, let's do this. It's a great idea. And next thing you know, we're harming someone else in the community, and not on purpose. Not any of us. I don't live on the lake. I think Penny lives on the lake. Anybody else live on the lake? So we don't always have that perspective. So we do appreciate your input. And I'm saying all these things to kind of tee up. We've been discussing garbage for as long as I've been in this role. And it's a very passionate, heated discussion every time. If you're on social media, it's unbelievable. People have ended friendships over this topic, and I'm not exaggerating. I've talked to people that won't talk to their next door neighbors anymore because of the way they feel on this issue. We're faced with a really difficult decision, whether you believe it or not. And I personally, if you've reached out to the township and got to my inbox and my email or my voicemail, I've called you back. If you've emailed me, you should have received an email saying, I'd like to just talk to you about this instead of having the 10 emails back and forth. And I've made it a commitment to call everyone that has had an issue, that has actually called and lodged a complaint with our office. If you haven't, see me after, shoot me an email, I'll call you tomorrow. There have been days I've been here till 8 and 9 o'clock, multiple days, making those return phone calls. I'm not looking for credit. I'm just letting you know that it's important to us to get your feedback. That said, this is a very difficult issue, and we continue to have problems even today. No one on this board wanted to not renew. No one was excited about not renewing the permit for Odd Job. We didn't renew for many reasons, mostly because the gentleman stood at the podium on the multiple occasions after we'd asked and asked and asked for information, and we said, do you have a plan? And he said, I don't have a plan on me. It wouldn't have been responsible for this board to allow them to continue with the number of complaints. We received over 1,000 complaints, individual complaints, not from just a couple residents that were upset. So then the discussion goes forward. How can we have a say in this issue? Because if you did talk to me on the phone, you've heard me say these things. We aren't a party to your contract. So people have been complaining about Odd Job not picking up their garbage when they still were licensed here. All we can do is do the same thing that you can do. We can implore them to please do it. People wanted to cancel when they still had a license here. We could implore them to please give refunds. And they said they do those things. And they have done some of that, and some of it they haven't. But we are not a party to those contracts the way the current situation is set up. So you have a contract with a garbage company. You pay them. If you have an issue, it's up to you to resolve it. Now, people will come here, and they come here in droves, either by phone, email, or drive here, and they want to meet and have us intervene and assist. Our current setup, and if you read our ordinance, doesn't allow any teeth from the township ordinance perspective to assist you in that process. What we're talking about today, well before the Odd Job issue, of the recent Odd Job issue, this board put together a committee, an ad hoc committee to discuss this issue, and it consists of Trustee Bernie and Trustee Flood and myself. The beginning of this year, we hired a third-party consultant, an independent consultant called Resource Recycling Services. They're out of Ann Arbor. They're an Ann Arbor-based company. They are not affiliated with any garbage hauling company. And they work for us to look at our ordinance and make recommendations as to how we might update that. They do work all over, not just the United States, but Canada and Mexico as well. They do a lot of work in North America as it relates to consulting local governments on garbage and recycling pickup. Tonight, we will be discussing proposing moving forward and looking at the next step of potentially going to a consolidated garbage service, a single hauler, as some people call it. If the board, the motion in front of the board tonight would be to discuss going out for a non-binding request for proposal, which would mean, so the feedback we've gotten is we don't know that we're going to save. It's not the township's business to tell us who should pick up our garbage, and we appreciate all that. What we're proposing doing tonight is one additional step that I don't know if any communities in our region have taken, but we're looking to take tonight. And that would be, don't take our word for it right now, and before we go ahead and update our ordinance to mandate essentially one garbage company, before we do that step, what if we went out for bid and asked these companies, what would you charge our 13,000 households for garbage pickup? So that's what we're talking about tonight, just to clear the issue, and we will receive public comment. We prepared a couple slides for discussion as it relates to this issue. Back in 2014, if you're familiar, this board did discuss this issue, and it went no further. In 2015 and 2017, and then we'll do another one this year, on the odd years in the summer, we do a community survey. And you can see, we asked this question: would you support or oppose a consolidation of trash hauling services in the township? And in 2015, of the respondents, again, this was not every resident, but in both cases, it was about, I think we had in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 people that responded to these surveys. You can see the ratios. In 2015, it was 63% would support it and 37% would oppose. And then in 2017, it was 46% would support and 29% would oppose. With in 2017, we put the option of undecided, and actually what it said is would be open to the idea if you got more information, I think is how it read. And then we've done some further research, and I promise I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to talk here, but I kind of want to set this up. So when we are faced with an issue, like good example Mr. Hart brought forward today, we do research, and we've done a ton of research. Matter of fact, Sam Timko in my office and I have worked with her, but she's really kind of spearheaded this. We've gone out around the county. This is a map of Oakland County. You will see that Orion Township is my mouse on the screen up there? Because our screen's out. Well, if you know where Orion Township is, you can't see it. Does everybody know where Orion Township is? Let me escape out of here and then just point to it on the screen. So this is Orion Township. Is my mouse working now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. This is Orion Township. Here's our village. Every community that's colored in with a color has one garbage company and an ordinance that regulates one and dictates one garbage company. The communities that are in gray, so you can see Orion Township is in gray. The communities that are in gray are communities that are in some process of discussing looking at garbage consolidation. All these other communities, these other townships around us, have expressed interest in a potential joint RFP or looking at this process. The one that's most active is Waterford, which is the dead center of the county. But everyone south of us, with the exception of Waterford Township and Lyon Township in the far southeast in Oakland County, has one garbage company. The different colors on the map are what companies have the service in those communities. So you can see, like, the green is Green for Life, the peach or orange, however it looks, is Republic, the lime green would be Green for Life, the dark green is Waste Management, the blue is Advanced Disposal. Here is, this is not opinion, this is fact, these are the rates that these communities pay, and I know you can't see all of the names probably, but what you can see is on the far left, I'll tell you, the blue on the far left, those 4 bars, those are the bars, those are the current published rates of the 4 garbage haulers that are approved, of the 3 garbage haulers that are currently approved in the township. And then Odd Job was left on there at the rate that they were proposing to renew their permit at, which was $28 a month or $84 per quarter. Everything else, you can see the red line if you're familiar with charts. That's the average price. And if you can't read the writing because it's really small, the average quarterly rate of the communities outside, not taking Orion, of the garbage communities that have one garbage hauler, the average quarterly rate is $40.83 in Oakland County. The other thing that we've talked about and we've considered is the wear and tear on the roads and the impact on our roads, and this comes up often when we're discussing this. This is a study, and we, believe it or not, took a conservative study, and I'm not going to focus a lot on this because, but AASHTO put this out, which is the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. Jim, are they credible? They are the gold standard for everything engineering in the country, correct? For transportation. So you'll see there that AASHTO, their standard, or what they recognize a residential trash truck is equivalent to 1,279 passenger cars on our local roads, on any road. I don't want to necessarily tonight get into a debate. I just want to talk about some of the things that have taken us to this point. Sorry, I'm going too far ahead. So we have tonight in front of us, we are discussing, would the township look at going out for an RFP that would be, and what's proposed tonight would be a response on June 15th. And then on June 15th, we would be able to see with these companies, if they choose to respond, which, by the way, the 3 companies that are currently licensed to haul in Orion Township have met in our office with us and have all said that they would be interested in providing a response to our community for this. So we would potentially get a quote on June 15th, and then it would come back in front of this board as to, do we want to move forward with a new ordinance? What does this mean to you? What this means to the average resident is, like I've taken a few calls today saying, well, what the heck, we just prepaid for another full year and we still haven't gotten our refund from Odd Job. It means a couple things. In the back of the room, there is a sheet of paper, and this will be available on our website tomorrow, probably not tonight, a single hauler information fact sheet, and this is in the back of the room, and it's too small to put on the screen. But it kind of talks about some of the things that, some of the potential benefits, and I want to say potential because we don't know until we know. But some of the things under consideration is any current company that would bid would issue a refund for any unused service to their existing customers at the time of the transition. Meaning, if you have prepaid with ABC Garbage Company for a year, and this change goes into effect on January 1st, 2020, and you have 3 months of service, any company that submits an RFP or a quote to the township would be agreeing by bidding on our contract. And if they are successful, they're successful and they maintain the contract with you. If they aren't successful, they realize that they would be giving up those contracts, therefore issuing refunds. This is, according to Resource Recycling Services, this is very common in RFPs for municipalities that are looking to do this. And Waste Management, Green for Life, and Advance of All agreed that they would abide by that. The other thing that I wanted to make very clear is I know that the committee, I'll speak for the committee and I'll let the rest of the board speak for themselves, but no one is advocating that we would put this on your tax bill. We would put this would be proposed that you would still have a bill from the garbage company. What the township's role would be is we would negotiate a rate. We would fix that rate for 4 or 5 years is the typical time frame. So every resident would know exactly what they would be paying for garbage and recycling services for that time frame. And the bill would still come to your house directly from the garbage company. You still would pay that bill. The township would not be involved in the collecting of the bill. We wouldn't be involved if you didn't pay on leaning your property. And some communities have taken that route. And it would provide an additional savings to our residents if we had one bill with the garbage companies. You could anticipate saving anywhere between 5 and 15%, even more on those prices. But for some of us, we feel like that's one thing that we don't think the township should be involved in. So I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to open it up for first the board to make a proposal, potentially make a motion, and then we will have some discussion. Then we'll give you an opportunity to give public comment. But some of the other things, I'm sorry, let me just kind of cover some of the other things under consideration would discounts for snowbirds, seniors, and veterans. Because the township would be a party to these contracts, we would have the opportunity to hold accountable when they don't pick up your garbage. And this does work in other communities around us, where they have fines to the garbage companies if they miss pickups, $100 fine every time they miss a pickup. Guess how many pickups they generally miss? Especially when they have every resident on every street. I'm not going to read through the roads, and the one thing I will highlight is we are projecting a rough projection, and this is potential, but about a $2 million savings annually for our township. Now that's $2 million that is not going into the garbage company's cash register. That doesn't mean And it's not going in the township cash register. That's $2 million that our residents are going to be able to choose where they want to spend those dollars. So let me give you an example. And I certainly am not going to convince everyone because I can't always make all three of my daughters happy at any given time. I'm trying to think of something that we all need and we all use. And so this is a terrible example, but it makes sense in my mind, so feel free to laugh. Raise your hand if you have toilet paper in your house. If you don't, I'm a little nervous. We have some here. You can use it. Don't take it. So this is equivalent to the township going out to Meijer and Target and Costco and negotiating a price on toilet paper for all of our residents. So you're paying $20 a bundle, and the township negotiates, hey, we have 40,000 residents, and they all have toilet paper in their house. What can you do for us? And guess what? Meijer comes back and says, we can sell you guys toilet paper at $10 per bundle. So we basically tell our residents, hey, good news, you're going to pay $10 now instead of $20. We're not sending you the bill. You're still going to pay the bill to Meijer. It's just that we have negotiated a price. And then when Meijer decides to try to rake up the price in 6 months in and bait and switch us, guess what? We have a contract. The township has teeth. So instead of one person trying to fight the big corporation, you have Dan Kelly in the weight of our ordinance to say, no, you said $10 for 5 years, and that's the price that our residents are going to pay. And that really is a very simplistic way to look at it, but that's what we're proposing here. We're talking about us negotiating rates, and then on the back end, instead of Al chasing over 1,000 complaints of people that have left their garbage out for multiple days, or us trying to literally drive to certain garbage companies and get them to answer our phone calls, we have one phone call and we are able to have the weight of the township in support of our residents. So I will, the last thing I'll say is, based on our research, and we've done extensive amount of research, none of the current Orion Township licensed haulers, this isn't meant to disparage them because we realize that they are, some of you are going to say we switched and we're having problems with our new company, and we understand that. They all picked up a lot of customers and they're trying to do new routes, they're trying to onboard new employees, they all had to grow real quick. But even when they're in their best form, none of the current Orion Township haulers provide the comprehensive services available via the proposed RFP that we're putting together for single hauler contracting. And they all charge significantly more than the cost of the highest service levels for single hauler contracting. So we're even comparing apples and oranges, where how many bags do we get to put out this week for yard waste? What we want to come up with is a comprehensive plan and save you between 45 and 67%. So that's what's being discussed tonight. And I know I said a lot, but I think there were a lot of, I know I've read a lot of the comments that are out there. I haven't responded to many, but I wanted to address some of the things head on and let you know what we're proposing to do tonight. We did receive two, I won't get to them yet, we received two formal written correspondences as it relates to the action tonight. We've received hundreds of comments, thousands frankly, over the last few months on just this topic in general. So I'm going to, and then the last thing I didn't really cover is if we did go out for bid, when would this all happen? If we decided mid-June or July, if we wanted to move forward and the assumptions did come back correct and the savings were going to be there and we were going to be able to have this accountability built into our ordinance, we would be potentially looking at start of this program around the turn of the new year. It would take several months for whatever successful company, first for us to draft a new ordinance and to have, there would be public hearings for the new ordinance, and then for those companies to ramp up and get prepared to take on the entire business of the township. So with that, I will throw it to Mike or Brian if they want to add anything from our committee, and I'm going to go to Brian first. You have your hand up.
Motion.
Oh, go ahead, make a motion.
I move to authorize the township supervisor in consultation with the board's waste hauler subcommittee, resource recycling services, and the township attorney to prepare and issue a non-binding request for proposal for the selection of an exclusive provider of trash collection for all residential units in the township per the terms and conditions set forth in the RFP prepared by RRS and approved by the Township Supervisor.
Support.
Okay, board comments, Mike?
Want the public to understand, we did not just take a vote now to go to single hauler. This is just to send the RFP out, to get information back, perhaps in June, to make that determination. So that did not happen just now. Let me make that clear.
Any other comments from the board? Donnie?
It's a non-binding RFP.
One thing that I want to throw to Dan, because I want to try to address, the only other thing I didn't say, and I've said too much probably, let you hear a different voice. If Dan could speak to, because we have had residents reach out and say, it is not legal for the township to do this. We must have put this to a vote of the people. And I let Dan speak to that, and maybe, you can even use this example of the bubbler ordinance that we heard about tonight, so.
Right. Well, as I understand it, there's three main issues that have been raised with regard to the legality of the ordinance. First is, why doesn't the township board put this out for what's known as a referendum, i.e. a vote of the people? First of all, there's no authority for a township to put discretionary acts out on a ballot. I've already provided an opinion to the township that says it's not possible for us to pass this kind of an ordinance by way of a referendum or a vote of the people. So that's number one. Number two, there's been questions as to the legality of the actual ordinance itself. Well, as evidenced by the number of townships throughout not only Oakland County, Macomb, and Wayne County, but really throughout the state, this ordinance has been adopted in generally the same form throughout the state. It has been challenged in the courts, and it's been upheld multiple times in the Court of Appeals. So I have no doubt that the Township Board, through its authority to protect the public health, wealth, and safety of its citizens, can pass a single hauler ordinance. The last issue has to do with whether or not the Township has the legal authority to collect the bill, if you will, from the trash hauler. And there, again, is case law that indicates that a township and a municipality can collect the bills on behalf of a trash hauler. And I think the board has to decide, but I think the leaning of the board is to not get into that issue, because that raises other issues. But if they so chose, the township can, in fact, collect the bills. And what that means is that you would put those bills on tax bills, and if they weren't paid, you could actually lien the property. But again, I don't believe the board is inclined to do that. So those are the three legal issues that I'm aware of.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the board at this time? John?
Well, I know this action is supposedly really to gather more info, but I also think it's a tacit, this is the way you're going. You're basically voting for, let's move forward with a single hauler. That's just the way it is. And so that's, kind of where we're at right now. And like I said, I know you say this is non-binding and we're supposedly gathering some more information, but I think the people are going that way already. I am still not convinced, especially just a general thing. I don't like centralizing this. And, just because so many other people do it doesn't necessarily mean that's what I wanted for my community, either. I mean, it chose to live here, and that was some of the nice things I liked about township government. It was out of some of my stuff. And I'm not, maybe if you go through this RFP process, it might help. I think by the time you try to answer everybody's concerns, you don't see the cost savings that you're talking about, and at least now I can have choices. And let's say, for example, I'm on a fixed income. I have a choice, though. There is one of the, a trash hauler that offers, that I don't have to pay when I'm gone for 3 months, and I like that. I save some money, and they, so that's a choice then I can make. I don't have to have all that other stuff. I also worry, to be honest with you, is it might work real good at first, but it has been proven time and time again, something like this, we tend to get lazy about doing it. Let's face it, even the existing ordinance, it just kind of got into this thing where it was almost automatic and stuff, and, you were tacitly kind of doing this with the ones you quote-unquote licensed, you know? Now you're looking at details, and I question that, why we're licensing. I think you could do a license, but it should be just certain features, you know, you're just looking at result of public health and safety and not pushing recycling and stuff like that. But that was done when we were trying to encourage people to recycle and stuff like that, so he threw that in there. It might work out, you know, as far as it, but it's just a general thing for me that I just don't like I say, centralizing and taking over. I like to have the choice. I think there are still people. I think this is probably going to go that way, or a lot of people, but I just caution against it that when your government takes it over, that it tends to kind of go in the weeds after a while, and I worry about it.
Well, what would you like to see specifically, if you could think about it, because we can address that in the RFP? I mean, are you worried about that the cost might go up over time, or I'm trying to understand. I want to better understand so we can draft, include your concerns in the RFP.
Like I said, you're going to try to do all these little pieces, and I think you talk to people too. Yeah, I want a single track if you choose the one I got almost. You know, I made the choice here, and I really support that. The devil's in the details, and I think that's why we saw those numbers kind of switching a little bit when they started getting more into talking about it. But it's just in general. I like the fact that I can choose and try to negotiate and go together with some people, and I don't have to go one way. So I like that. I think there are still a number of people in the township that do appreciate that and have some choices. And I know it gets not pretty, and you know, like I said, all of a sudden it was growing and they were starting to have problems. But, you know, like I said, I don't like the way the ordinance is because it makes it sound like we have a lot more control than we do. And that whole premise was, oh, having a license to gather trash in here is so valuable that they're going to conform to these rules, which is, you know, kind of what you're saying with this ordinance. But as we saw, that's not always true, and especially now. And right now, too, this whole thing, business is in a lot of flux, and I worry about it too. So anyway, you know, that's just where I'm at. I'm just not convinced. It's just not something in my core what I think we should be doing, and I'd like to preserve it. And I realize you're gathering more information, so that's just. I'm pretty well convinced. I got temperature people up here that it's probably going to go through, but just, you know, I'm not necessarily going to support it.
And that's, I guess, what I was trying to get at is if I could understand, or we could understand, you know, if it's just the concept in general, it will never make you happy. But I think some of the things might be able to be addressed in an RFP, maybe not. I don't know, but you know, the price thing. I mean, the one community that's directly touches us. Their price is $2 more today than it was in 2009. So it's gone up $2 per quarter, $8 a year in 10 years. It's less than half the rate of inflation in that same time frame. So you know, we've heard it 1,000 times. It's just like the cable companies. Once they get our business, they're going to jack our prices. It just doesn't play out that way because the cable company has a wire that runs to your house. This case they wouldn't. So, yeah, Brian, go ahead.
I just want to clarify something, what John just said. I know he's saying he thinks this is a done deal the way we're going, but that's not true. Because if this, in my opinion, so he gave his 2 cents, I'm going to give mine. If this comes back and it's way too expensive, I'm not going to vote for it. The purpose of doing this is to lock in those rates so everyone saves money across the board. That's, in my opinion, that is a deal breaker. So the biggest thing, and I'm probably besides Chris up here, the one that stuck my neck out the most with this decision to not renew odd jobs. So I've heard pretty much everything and probably been called pretty much everything in the book. But I had a lot of really good conversations with people. And the biggest thing for them was the price. And a lot of people did not understand that what was happening was odd jobs was raising their rates. And once I said, look, that's what they were going to do, the next question was, well, how do we fix this? How do we lower our rates? In my mind, this is the only way we can do this. So, again, if this comes back, this RFP, and the numbers aren't anything like the tons of communities that are on this piece of paper that are way lower than us, I'm not going to vote for it. Now, if they do come back in the $30, $40 range, we all win. So to me, it's a no-brainer. So it takes a lot of guts to sit up here and say that to people and to take the abuse that we've taken over it. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, it's going to be all worth it because everyone in this community that owns a home is going to save money. The services are going to get 100 times better. There's going to be more responsibility and accountability to the company that has to do it. So I can't, in good conscience, say that that's a bad idea. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on it.
Donnie?
Thank
you, Brian.
I have a homeowners association, and we have collectively gotten one waste hauler. And it's nice because on Monday morning, they come up by 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. The recycling, the leaves, and the garbage are gone. The garbage cans are in, and I don't even ever think about garbage until this has happened, and I've seen it everywhere. But I have, the benefits are visually, and you don't have the trucks running up and down the street with the kids every day of the week. I think it's safer for the community and visually, and so I personally have had a single hauler since I've lived in where I've lived, and I really appreciate the benefits. So I think that once we transition, if we transition after what Brian said, I agree with the price has to be acceptable, then I think that everybody will appreciate the change. That's my comment.
Penny?
This is a problem to be solved, and this is one of the steps where we can solve it. It's that simple.
Mike?
I got my favorite hometown newspaper here, the Orange Review. I'm going to give them another plug. If you want to know what's going on in this township, it's in there. There was a good Viewpoint article about Orion Township should not be involved in handling trash. Free enterprise system should prevail. And the bottom line is, the last paragraph, certainly the free enterprise system should prevail. Bottom line, do we need government involved in handling trash? If you do your homework, the federal government, the state government, and local governments have been handling trash forever in this country and in this state. It falls under the EPA and the federal government. It falls under the state solid waste management plan, the Oakland County solid waste management plan. We have a landfill in this township, waste management, Eagle Valley. That falls under the county and state solid waste management plan. So to say if government's involved in trash or refuge, since we are human beings and we are the ones that cause all this problem, yes, government has been involved in it for decades and decades, possibly hundreds of years.
Okay.
One more time.
Yes, Julia.
One of the biggest complaints that I was hearing too is that everyone was getting a different price. That I could call and Penny could call and you could call and it was a totally different number than your neighbor. And I think too that if this helps solve that problem and it's a win, it's a win.
Chris, before we vote, I just want to give the names of the people who gave the letters. We have from Rob Gulthrop of 439 Shady Oaks, and their letter just speaks in support of looking at single waste hauler. And on a side note, he would support the board in seeking efficiencies in any and all aspects of the township's operations. And that letter is available in its entirety from supervisor's office or the clerk's office. And then there's another letter from Sarah Stockhausen, 2685 Aubrey Drive. And that's largely in support of looking at ways to solve this problem. Waste management comes through the neighborhood on Mondays, Advance comes Thursdays, GFL comes on Fridays. I'm so tired of looking at trash. And then her bottom line says, it's been a year since garbage became a problem in Orion. Let's fix it and move on. Those letters are available in their entirety in both offices.
Okay. One of the things that we did do, and I'll open it up, if you'd like to give public comment, if you want to just come line up, it'd be helpful to us, just if you line up, and then it'll keep things moving here. One of the things we did do, even though our ordinance doesn't allow us to do this, or we just did it, is we got a lot of complaints recently that the garbage prices were all over the board, like Julia mentioned. And so Sam and I asked the 3 remaining haulers if they would come meet with us, and they did, and we implored them to please give some standard pricing. And they agreed to do that, but that's only typically, for as far as we know, for like 1 month. We had it basically through May to get some standard pricing, and then the prices can do whatever they want. The other thing is that I don't think anyone would disagree that this ordinance is outdated and needs to be updated. How we do that, that's where the disagreement comes in. I can tell you that taking no action is not an option for me, because we have literally, and I estimated to a reporter, and I think it's probably low, we've literally probably spent $20,000 of township resources dealing with the garbage issue, if not more. We were just trying to guess at the hours spent. And so that's taking no action. One of the things we still get complaints about is recyclable containers are not required to be covered, or garbage isn't required to be in cans, and it blows all over our community. So taking no action is not an option. We need some update. So with that, I will be quiet. We'll take your comments. We ask again that you keep them directed toward me, and feel free to just state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments at 3 minutes, please. And if you want to give comment, please line up just so we can keep things rolling. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Mark Katz, 810 Pine Tree. Well, you just hit the nail on the head about the money. It doesn't matter how much we're paying for garbage, as far as I'm concerned. Whatever it is, it's cost us, you already said, 20 grand. We could keep going on for another year, and it could cost us a whole lot of money. But it's called free enterprise. We decide and all that kind of stuff, what we want to have done and who to have it. And it's just like as a contractor, plumbing, electrical, and all that kind of stuff, it's free enterprise. I can have anybody come in here. But we have what they call, it's here in the township and all that kind of stuff. We got to get permits and all that, and we have to get it passed or denied. So basically, I don't know what the laws or what the permit 73 is it? Or
Yeah, that's our
63?
ordinance. Yep.
The ordinance? Well, maybe you guys should have rules. It's got to be on a specific day. You want to do it that way, because someone's going to have to do it that way anyway. One person does it or 3 people does it. Whether it's on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, who knows? That's where we rely on you. Now, if they want to break the rules, leaving garbage out, well, what's the act that the government has right now? I forget what he said it was.
Solid waste plan.
Solid waste and all that stuff. There are rules out there, and they have to abide by them. That's what we rely on you guys for, as our governor, because this is the township. It's just like what this gentleman here, John, said. But my point is, it's free enterprise, and if I want to have 5 different plumbers come to the house, that's my choice. And if I don't like them, just like all the complaints, fire them. Get somebody else. You have one person, they're not doing a good job. I can't come myself and say, you're fired, and hire somebody else. I can't do that, according to what you guys are, or what you are trying to approve here. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Katz. Anyone else want to give public comment?
Michelle Arquette, Palermo, 1245 Rhodes Road. Thank you, and sorry I wasn't, obviously I've been out of touch for a little while, didn't realize that this was on the agenda today. It was just something that was on my mind. So, first of all, thank you for mentioning Slow Roll, Chris, because then I got 3 messages. We got 3 new followers after you said that earlier, so thank you. Just a few things, and I'm glad to see that the research that your committee did, it felt very consistent with what I found as well. Not only did I read the same study by that AAHO, whatever it was, but I read some other studies as well. And somewhere the range for the amount of cars, the truck and car equivalent, range anywhere from about 1,000 to 1,400 cars. So in my particular road, we have 3 companies now that are on there. There are 4 houses, by the way, and there are 3 trash haulers that service those 4 homes on my road. So now we possibly could add another 2 this evening, right? And then we're going to have 5. So then now all 4 of the people that live on my road could have different trash haulers. So that would be equivalent to 4,000 cars going down my road every single week. I don't know, maybe I get 4,000 cars every, year, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's definitely not in a week's time. So it puts a lot of impact on our road. And so research study after research study shows that our small residential neighborhoods were not built for 18,000-pound trucks and having multiple of them a day. So I could see a huge savings to our residents in that. Also, the decreased cost over 3. The studies varied, and it looked about 80% of people, and Brian, you spoke to this, that about 80% of the people, that's their decision, is the economic factor, how much is it going to cost. And so most of the studies show that it's anywhere from 25 to 35% saving per household by going to a single hauler. So I think that, if our numbers in our township are anywhere similar, that we could make a lot more of our residents. Plus the enforcement issue, you brought that up. You've spent a lot of time and effort on doing that. This would make it much easier for you. And then, of course, the environmentalist in me has to say, it's easier on the environment, right? We're not going to add as much toxic gases to, we're going to reduce the emissions and other things like that. But I know that what you're deciding on, what you're going to decide on today decides whether you move forward with a non-binding RFP, and I like that because I think it'll help you make a more informed decision a couple months down the road, and I truly hope that you move to a single hauler. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
My name is Roy Blankenberg at 725 Meriday, Lake Orion, otherwise known as the PITA of Meriday. I have a question for Mike. Lake Orion has 1 pickup. How does that work here? I have called for my new pickup. They can't tell me what day, Monday or Friday. Either Mondays or Fridays. I don't care. If I put my garbage out on Monday, they haven't told me when it's going to be. It'll be there Friday. I have at least 12 trucks a week driving up and down Meriday, which is gravel, to get to Bunny Run. Why do they have to have 2-day pickup and 12 trucks running around out in Bunny Run? It must be a pretty filthy outfit out there. Oh, I live a block and a half from the wondrous single-lane roundabout that was really great. Like I say, it's a PITA. But Lake Orion has 1 garbage pickup, and you people can't decide. How do they get past it? You want 3 or 4 garbage pickups? I want 1 down there. Lake Orion has 1. They're billed on their water bill, which comes with their sewer bill. Now, I pay sewer bill here and water in Lake Orion. You figure that one out, but I can't pay my garbage bill. I have to mail it to them. It's BS. One day a week. She talks about, you give me, somebody had the statistics of how much 4 garbage trucks weigh. I don't know how many thousand of cars. Try 12 in and out per day to get to Bunny Run. I can't understand it. I don't need it. Oh, signed up for a new garbage collection here after I have heard through the grapevine that Advance is already on the way out. Great. I paid for a year with Advance, in advance. I just got my garbage picked up, my leaves picked up first time in 3 weeks, along with my 4 neighbors. I got one that doesn't live far from here to you, with his leaves set out there for 3 weeks. Now I got a list of phone calls to Advantage, or Advance, whatever it is. there's a problem there someplace, that it's not my job, it's somebody's job, is being paid for it. I'm getting excited, so get it done. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care. JC can pick up for all I care. One time, they used Meriday as a cut through to Bunny Run because they don't want to use the roundabout. You'll agree on that?
All right. Thank
You ought to live there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bellinger. That's 3
Anyway,
minutes. I'm going
one
to cut you
time.
off. Thank
One
you.
time.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. This is Gary Finney from 651 Allen Drive. I don't know if this is the question to ask, but there's a lot of trash out there right now. What is going to be done about that? There's houses that have trash that's been out there for 3 to 5 weeks. Is that going to sit there until you guys decide to move on? Or what? I mean, is this a question to ask? I just want to know what's going to happen, because just the second point, I know everybody needs their choices. That's all fine and dandy until it comes to affecting the welfare or the health of the neighborhood, because the rats are going to come. We're going to start getting diseases. So I understand all you got to have your choices, but everybody had their choices about the measles. Now there's an outspread of measles. Is that what it's going to? I don't know. That's all I have to say, but it's just something to think about.
Thank you for your comments. And any questions that are addressed, we'll answer them at the end if we can. Some are just comments, but if there are questions, we'll address them at the end. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Terry Brennan, 1350 Heights, Lake Orion. I've lived in multiple cities where there's one hauler. We've never had this kind of thing going on that's going on here. This is not good at all. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 points maybe for having multiple haulers that was brought up tonight, but not nowhere near all of the other people that brought up good points of having a single hauler. That's number one over there, right on that chart. And he's right. If they come back with the money like that, and all these other people have single haulers, there's a reason why they're staying with single haulers. They're saving money and they're getting better service. That's the end of the story. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else?
Lillian Hutchison. My only objection to this single hauler is the people that do not pay a hauler are now going to have to pay for a service that they're not using. And another point I'm going to make is you're giving a big present to one person to give them all the garbage pickup in Orion Township. And let's just make sure that everybody pays, like nobody on the township gets a free garbage pickup. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to express my support for everyone here for the single hauler. Janice Finney, 651 Allen Drive. We go down my street any day of the week, there's trash out there. Monday, weekends, some people who have their pickup on Monday, they put their trash out on Sunday. And it's embarrassing. I came to Lake Orion 18 years ago because living is supposed to be like a vacation. And I feel like driving down my street, it's embarrassing. I had company come in from out of town last week. I invited them after dark because I was embarrassed of all the trash sitting around in front of everyone's house. I think it's unsanitary, and I lived in a community growing up where this was your garbage day. Garbage was picked up, it was done, it was over with. There weren't multiple trucks driving through, and it works. And I'm fully in support of it, and I thank you for taking the issue up.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Ballard, 2457 Gemini Drive, and
I totally agree with John. I like the choices. And on April 1st, GFL called me and said, we see that you don't have service anymore. Would you like to join us? And I said, well, let me get this straight. Are you the ones that were charging $75 just for the privilege of signing up with your company? Yes, we are. And I said, that's an absolute no. Click. And, you know, right now, if they could make a profit and still charge less, do you think they would do that? I don't, you know, and I hope that, I mean, obviously, you guys are going to push forward on this, but I hope that you are checking apples to apples, not apples to oranges. There's so many different facets, like, do you want leaf pickup? Do you want recycling? Or do you just want garbage? I have one bag maybe every 2 weeks. So, you know, the cost concerns me. You know, I mean, if I had 12 kids like my neighbor, you know, I guess I wouldn't be too concerned because I'd be able to fill up my curb with all those bags and stuff, you know. But I'm just hoping that you actually get in there and say, all right, this is what we want. You know, with every facet of each, you know, for the people that you're asking, you know, give me a price on this. And do they want just garbage pickup? Do they want garbage and recycling? Do they want garbage, recycling, and lawn pickup? You know, you've got to have everybody giving you an exact price on that. Otherwise, you know, it's not apples to apples anymore. And like you were saying that I'm so nervous.
Okay.
But anyway, I know we were talking at the last meeting. You were saying something about what is the highest price you think will take care of your bills, whatever. I forget how you phrased it. But it's like they're all going to say as much as they can. But the thing is, if you're going to have a 5-year contract, you're going to have them raising the price because what they're going to be charging the first year isn't going to be what they're going to be expecting to receive on the 5th year. So you know they're going to at least raise it up to try and average it out. And that's what I'm saying. I just hope that you do the apples to apples because it is going to, I don't see how it's going to give us a discount, you know, because they're still going to have the same costs and yet they've got to cover 5 years now instead of 1 year. So I just hope you guys really do some good research on it because I first of all, I like choices. If I don't like you, I don't want you in there. I don't want you coming to my house. You know, I want somebody who maybe, you know, I watch them, you know, and some of these companies, they'll throw the garbage in there and it gets blown down the street.
Okay.
You know, it's not just the people, it's also the trash collectors that are doing all the littering.
Thank you for your comments. Do you mind me asking, if you don't mind, Ms. Ballard, do you know what you pay per quarter? Just out of curiosity, because that's important. We want to make sure people are saving money. Do you know what you're paying now?
I was doing I think I haven't been in there that much, but because I just signed up again and with odd jobs, and I liked their prices. So I think it was $45.
Okay.
I think every quarter.
Okay.
And you know, with everybody else, though, it's so much more. Even the ones with senior discounts. So.
Thank you for your comments.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Ed Zienczek, 2468 Cedar Key Drive. I just had a question. With Advance being bought out by Waste Management, are you going to be considering other companies to bid? Or how many companies are you going to propose to bid on this?
Thank you. I will answer all the questions at the end.
Gotcha.
Good question, though. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Paul Tedonio from Community Disposal, one of the garbage companies that's on a later agenda item, but I guess I wanted to bring up these prices that you guys are representing as what these other haulers, I'm guessing they're playing a game, they're just throwing high prices at you for their permit and they're charging less some may charge that, but I can tell you, you show Odd Job out there, I can't read it from here, but at like 84, and I've taken literally thousands of customers that they've had in the last month, and they were paying maybe half that. So I don't know where you guys came up with those numbers other than, trying to sell something, because those don't appear to be accurate at all to me, and I'm in the business. And I can guarantee you Village of Holly is paying about twice what you show.
Who's I'll address how we came up with those prices in the blue, but who did you say is paying?
Village of Holly is, they were paying, last I knew, they were paying about $15 a home per month. That's about 45, not 24. Maybe you have it backwards. Maybe you transpose numbers or something. I guess my way of doing business is, we sell our service, and we give better service than anybody. That's just flat out fact. You can ask 10,000 of my customers, ask 10,000 of theirs, and I got a 5-star rating. The other companies are 1 or 2. My guys are cleaning up messes. We go down streets. We pick up litter just because we see it there, because it looks good and it sells more stops. People see that and they sign up with us. And the reason we're not here is because of your ordinance. You got terrible ordinance right now that prohibits. I could have been in here and been competitive when Odd Job started having problems. We had literally probably 3,000, mostly homeowners association customers, begging us to come over here. We couldn't get a permit at the time, whether it was miscommunication or what. We were told there was a moratorium. I'm assuming because you want to do a contract. Just the mere discussion of the contract makes it pretty unappetizing for me as a business person to want to come over here and start selling. And, I'm not going to make money in 9 months if you have a contract coming out. I would probably, just not put in the effort. Right now, my average customer is paying $17.70 a month. That's my average. And we're providing, that's from people that don't have yard waste to people that do. And probably half the people have recycling, roughly. But it's all a la carte. They choose what they want. You guys are kind of dictating what people have to do, and that holds high.
Yeah, if you could wrap your comments, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks for comments. Appreciate it. I'll address some of your questions in a moment when everyone else is done getting an opportunity. Thank you.
Mike Radigan, 3015 Cedar Key. And I've been in the township for 25 years, and I've had a single hauler in our homeowners association, much like Treasure Steel has. And I just looked at my bill right now, and so I'm not going to be impacted probably by this because we have a great rate. I just checked on my account, $47 a quarter. You know what I mean? So I don't understand how the different companies have different rates, but I think that would be probably the biggest reason to go to a single hauler is to get one rate for everybody. Because if somebody's paying that $150, which I know my friends that live in other parts of Keatington are paying more. So I fully support the proposal to get the one hauler bid. I did notice that when I was looking at the news that Advance is getting bought by Waste Management for $4.9 billion. So that takes us from 3 to 2. So maybe there is a possibility of looking for a third company out there that may have felt like they were shut out. So I would recommend that you look for another one, but fully support it. And to me, choice is good, but I don't know that anyone would make a choice to spend more. So that just seems kind of against everything we stand for, especially as we I'm fast approaching that retirement age and that fixed income age. I don't know why I would choose to spend more. So thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else? Okay, we'll bring it back up here to the board. We'll try to answer these questions. The questions that I wrote down, some were just statements, but we agree that there is lots of trash everywhere. We're inundated with complaints. And there's been rumors that we're writing citations. Al and Dave, how many tickets have we written? 0. We have given some courtesy warnings. Frankly, the complaints went from people very supportive of one or another garbage company, but just frustrated that they couldn't get a response, to the majority of the complaints in the last month were from people that live next door to people who weren't getting their garbage picked up, who were leaving their garbage out for 4, 5, 6, 9 days because they were worried if they wheeled it in, that would be the day that the company would come by and snag it. So we do have an ordinance that says you can have your garbage at the road for 24 hours. Almost all of our residents have violated that. We haven't issued one ticket. It's not our goal to write tickets. Our goal is to have the garbage picked up and not have an infestation or an environment that doesn't make people happy or comfortable. The other, Lillian, to your point, I mean, again, I just want to reiterate answer a few questions. I don't totally disagree with what John said, that, yeah, this is a step in that direction. But if we don't get information back that puts our residents in a good position, I wouldn't support moving forward. I don't know that anybody else would. Brian said it verbally. I assume the rest of the board would probably agree. So that's the purpose of this, to actually see what people would pay and compare apples to apples, like you asked, Ms. Ballard. The reason the prices on our website, or the prices on that page, our ordinance requires garbage companies to, if they change the price and they're going to charge residents more, they have to put in notice writing to the clerk's office and to the customers that they're raising their price. So what these companies did was give us a price to be compliant with our outdated old ordinance that would keep them in compliance, so that they can charge anything up to, in one case, $150 per quarter, but they certainly can charge less. Sam and I negotiated lower rates with the 3 companies that are remaining to the benefit of the township residents, and they did that not because they're required to by ordinance, but because they were understanding that they were gaining a lot of customers, and we asked them to do that. The odd job price, to your point, Mr. Didonio, is I was trying to pull it up and I didn't have enough time. That's the price they gave us on their license application, the renewal. Their price as of April 1st in Orion, should they have been renewed, was $28 per month. That's their writing on their application, not ours. They were in the process of raising the price to our residents. Whether or not the residents knew that or not, that is on the public document. Does anybody know what day the meeting was that we reviewed the applications? Because I can pull
March
up.
18th.
March 18th.
I've got that right here if you want it.
Do you have a picture? Do you have their application?
Which one?
Odd job?
No, I don't. Sorry,
Anyway,
wait a minute.
all the stuff's available on our website. You can go look at it. You can actually look at their application. You can see their price that all 4 of the companies that applied entered into the boxes as far as what they would charge. We can check on that Village of Holly. I don't know, Sam, if you know anything about that, but we pulled these prices from. Okay. So we either call these communities or we went to their websites and pulled off the websites what they pay. So if we want to remove that outlier, Holly, which is $24 a quarter, we can. I can tell you, does anybody live in the Village of Lake Orion? No one here? That is accurate. They pay $37.41, all inclusive, for everything. And that includes large pickups and other things like that. So one of the things that we are hearing, to your point, Ms. Hutchison, and Ms. Ballard, is that it's not apples to apples, and we know that. And we've actually shown this resource recycling company who's consulting on our behalf what are being currently offered to our residents, and they put that in the lowest tier of what would be offered if we went forward with a new plan. It would only increase from there. Mr. Tidonio, I do agree our ordinance is terrible, but as of now, it's the ordinance that we have adopted, this board, not this board, but previous boards, and that we have to live with until we either replace it or update it, and that's the discussion tonight. Who would bid? We would hope every garbage company would bid on this. The more prices we get, the better for our residents. So the more people, it's not just restrictive to the 3 companies that are currently engaged in business here. There's another company called Republic. They do business in Oakland County. We've reached out to them to see if they'd be interested in bidding. When Odd Job was still talking with us, we asked them if they would be interested in bidding. Certainly the 2 people that are in front of us tonight, if they would want to bid, they would absolutely be welcome to bid. The benefit of this is we go out to bid, everyone knows what they're bidding, everyone quotes the exact same thing, and we can absolutely, for probably the first time ever in Orion Township, really compare apples to apples. Right now, as you have all done probably the same thing that I did, I personally had to just change garbage as well. You do the same thing, you call the companies and you try to write down what they include, and I just did it for lawn fertilization too, and they're all different. There's nobody that provides the same thing. So this would actually be a true apples to apples comparison that we would be able to do. And I think that you've heard it several times. I think those are the questions that I heard. Some of the people just had opinions. I absolutely would not advocate moving forward if we don't see that our residents would save money. So we, the only other question I would say, and we've traveled all around the county and even outside of the county to meet with these communities to ask them a few key questions. When I say we, I mean Sam and I. What would you do if you did it again? Before they went from subscription services, which the township is currently has, to a township-wide or city-wide service. And so we've learned some really interesting best practices that if we move forward, we could include those. One of them was fining the haulers if they miss pickups. Some of the communities don't have that. That would be some nice teeth in an ordinance that would make sure that if there was a lag in service, we have some teeth that we can fine those companies, and we absolutely would do that. The other question we asked, which is the most important question for me, look, our job up here is to try to make 20,001 people happy if we actually have 40,000 people. We try to make decisions based on the majority of our residents. And we realize that we're never going to make everyone happy. Even the people that are adamantly opposed to this, and I have personal friends that are adamantly opposed to this, have really good ideas as to how we can maybe hone the RFP to make sure that we're asking the right questions. But the main question that we asked, and I would encourage you, if you don't believe me or Sam or the other people up here, to do your own research. But all the communities that have switched, the most recent near us is Auburn Hills, and they've almost been, I think, 5 years. But the most recent in the county is Novi, the city of Novi, and we met with their team. Would you go back? Would you, knowing what you know now, and it's a pain in the butt to make the transition, make no mistake. Not so much for the residents, mostly for our staff and our fielding the calls and the complaints and the questions. And not one community has said it was a terrible idea, we shouldn't have done it. They've given us ideas of how they could make the process better, which we have a great battle plan if we move forward. But no one has said they wouldn't do it. And I think that's what you have to trust us to do. And at the end of the day, if you don't like the job we're doing, there's a great tool, and you can make sure that we don't work for you anymore next year. So I think those are, and I don't want to talk it to death. I think that you can hear directly from me as a member of this subcommittee, and obviously your township supervisor. If our residents aren't going to save money and we can't sort of tame the Wild West that we have right now, I'm not in favor of it either. I just know that the data says something different. And the last thing I'll say is, the city of Rochester Hills, depending on what year they survey their residents, have either, the lowest it's been is a 91% approval rating, up to a 98% approval rating when they ask their residents to rate their garbage and recycling service in their community. Now, I can tell you that maybe should be closer to 100. There isn't one thing we do here in Orion Township today, except for probably our law enforcement, which gets recognized all the time for being the safest community, that we get even an 80% approval rating. We don't. It's impossible to make everyone happy. Everyone has different ideas. When you take an idea of garbage and something that's people have very strong opinions, and once communities make the switch and they ask their residents how are they doing, to get anything above anything in that range is remarkable. So I think it is important for us to look at our peer data, other communities around us that have walked down this road, and trust me, they've all had the meetings with people that have said, over my dead body, it's my choice. But I think that the actual, once the transition has happened and the people see that what was said ahead of time actually happened, is where you get some understanding. So any other further comments from the board? The motion was made by Bernie and supported by Steele.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Okay. No other questions, comments? Okay. It would be to, Brian, would you please restate the motion because it's been an hour?
All right. I move to authorize the township supervisor in consultation with this board's waste hauler subcommittee, resource recycling services, and the township attorney to prepare and issue a non-binding request for proposal for the selection of an exclusive provider of trash collection for all residential units in the township per the terms and conditions set forth in the RFP prepared by RRS and approved by the township supervisor.
Roll call, please.
Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Stimo?
No.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes.
6-1. Okay. Thank you, and please stay tuned all because there will be more discussion on this once we receive those proposals back. We have a few items still on tonight's agenda. The next two items are similar and they are related to Ordinance 73. These are two applications to become a solid waste hauler in the township. I will turn this over to Clerk Schultz.
Okay, so this won't take as long as that last one did, but it is equally as important. So we did receive a community disposal application asking to license 4 vehicles. The fee that needs to be paid is $400 should the board approve this. The Sheriff's Office and Ordinance Enforcement will be provided with license number information for the approved trash haulers. The current year license stickers is to be displayed on the lower right-hand passenger side corner of each vehicle, and they are blue in color for 2019. The board's been provided with their completed application, the vehicles that they will be licensing, along with their proof of insurance that is required, and I move that we approve the trash hauler license for community disposal, subject to payment of fees for 4 vehicles per the application.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported to approve them as a hauler. Any discussion? I know they already do, I think, service some of our community, and I believe both of these haulers have been soliciting new business. We've been told both haulers have been soliciting new business in Orion ahead of this permit. I guess maybe hopeful that they would be approved. Is that accurate? Okay.
I mean, I did send flyers out.
Right. Okay. But you understand if you're not successful, like, you know, that was a little bit aggressive. That's okay. That's okay. Wait till you're up. You're up next. So that's fine.
Yep.
But it's been moved and supported to approve the first one, community. Is there any other discussion from the board? Any public comment on this item? This would be to approve and give you an additional hauler to choose from at this time. Seeing no other comments, let's do a roll call, please.
Steele?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Stimo?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. And I have another one now
Go ahead.
from T&R Lawn and Dumpster LLC. I do have a copy of the application, the fee schedule they provided, and the pickup areas are also attached. They did pay the fee, and the fee was in the amount of $300 for 3 vehicles. The Sheriff's Office, the Ordinance Enforcement, will be provided with the license number, information for the approved trash hauler. The current stickers will be applied appropriately, and I move to approve the trash hauler license for TNR as presented.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? From the board? Any public comment? Did you want to address the board? You can if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean,
Just name and who you are with.
Tony Detkowski, owner TNR, 6833 Clintonville and Clarkston. I've actually been doing service here for over 20 years under TNR. I don't do a lot, but I have been doing service. Didn't know I needed a permit. So,
The permit, and so thank you for doing this. The permit allows us to have the little teeth we used to have to at least at the renewal, you know, to hold a hauler accountable like we had to, unfortunately, in recent history. So, but thanks for making it official. Any other public comment? Roll call, please, to approve TNR's permit.
Bernie?
Yes.
Dalrymple?
Yes.
Flood?
Yes.
Stimo?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele?
Yes.
Can I keep rolling?
Go ahead.
PC 2019-12, Orion Marketplace condominium approval. The board requests on PC 2019-12 Orion Market condominium is the owner wishes the development to create a 2-unit condominium. Ordinance number 78 requires that the Board of Trustees review and approve any condominium project which contains more than 5 units or more than 2 acres of land, and this development is over 2 acres of land. The board has the completed application. They have a letter from Ms. Tammy Gerling regarding the process that has taken place. You have the master deed of Orion Marketplace condominium that has been provided. You have other information regarding the process that's been taking place on this particular request, as well as the drawings for the Orion Marketplace. And I move that we conditionally approve the creation of a 2-unit condominium and the associated condominium documents for PC 2019-12 Orion Marketplace condominium located at 1240 and 1176 through 1234 South Lapeer Road, parcel ID number 0914-201-0020, conditioned on any issued contained in the review letters by the township consultants and the approval of the master deed, bylaws, and Exhibit B by the township engineer, planner, and attorney.
Support. That's all those review letters are in there. John, do you want to just give us, because it doesn't clearly tell our residents exactly what this is, so will you please tell us? I know, but I'll defer to you as the planning commission rep.
Yeah, well, again, somebody was saying, "Oh, where are they putting up condos?" That's not what this is. And I did remember right, Treasurer Steele. This is the shopping center.
Correct.
Which currently, that's, if you want to know, that's just south of Clarkston Road on the west side of Lapeer. I think some of the tenants that are currently in there is like Dolly's, there's the World Gym, and then
studio.
And then if you're familiar with that shopping center, when you go in there, there's kind of an outbuilding, which has always been kind of a medical thing. So what they're really doing, just converting this from being a shopping center to, and the real reason behind it, I don't really know, it just has to, but, okay, so they're going to create it and make it a condominium with 2 things. One, the big L-shaped building is 1 unit, and then this, in essence, outbuilding is a separate unit.
Correct.
It's on the screen.
So it doesn't really affect us much. There's not really anything changing. It really has to just do how it's organized.
The function of the site won't change at all.
Right.
And can you just name and who you're with for the record?
Warren Hudson with Friedman Management Company and Orion Marketplace LLC.
Did you want to weigh in on our garbage ordinance?
I sincerely hope that our condominium proposal is not as controversial as the garbage.
Right.
I don't envy you guys for having to make
I'm sorry.
They have dumpsters.
I don't mean to make light of it. I don't.
I don't envy you guys for having to make such a difficult decision.
So that was a good summary, and so this is just really a procedural, high-level procedural thing that we need to approve at a board level, right?
Right. And like I said, the only thing that really did it was not big change. It's just, okay, by our ordinance, it's over so many acres, and that whole site goes over that minimum that we have to approve it then. This, just so you know, remember, we kind of did something similar. You got the animal hospital going up here on Walden. It was the same thing. That was all one, and they decided to make it a condominium and kind of separate it a little bit, but they were together, but, and so, it's a way of doing things. The whole Baldwin Commons is a condominium, but each one of the tenants is a separate unit. Here, you're only getting 2, so.
Okay, thank you. Donnie?
Woodside across the street is the same setup too.
Yep.
Yeah. But do you have any planned changes that you're?
No, the physicality of the site and the operation of the site won't change at all. At some point, I think we may sell off one of the buildings, but the medical building, but no, the actual function of the site and the look of it won't change at all.
And is that the purpose, is to allow that possibility?
Correct.
Thank you.
Warren, do you tell us about, well, since you're talking about it, and then we're going to vote right after this, but what's the new restaurant in there that's creating a buzz?
I don't have that information. I'm not in charge of our leasing there.
Okay, I can't think of the name of it. The Faux
Street or something.
Faux Street. It's apparently very good, authentic. Is that Vietnamese food? I don't know. All right, thought I was going to give you a chance to shout out somebody. All right, Warren, we're voting.
Thank you very much.
Dalrymple. Yes. Flood.
Yes.
Steinmal.
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes.
Schultz, yes. Steele.
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
Okay, so can I keep going?
Please.
MTA, nonpartisan resolution. You have a revised memo in front of you. The Township Board of Trustees was contacted by Michigan Township Association, and they were requesting that we look at this resolution to adopt at this board meeting. So everyone has, I want to tell you that the original memo that came to you showed that there was a budget amount that was incorrect. That's why you have a revised memo. Thank you, Chris, for letting us know, so we got that before you. So basically, the resolution says, be it resolved that the township supported or opposed to legislation that would allow township boards the option to have an elected offices appear as nonpartisan on the ballot. The reason for the board's decision are as follows if desired, and the board would make their decision accordingly. MTA is telling us that the Association Board of Directors requests action by the Township Board on the attached resolution regarding a time-sensitive legislative policy issue. Over the years, the township officials have suggested to MTA that elective Michigan Township offices should be nonpartisan. Consistent with longstanding policy and bylaws, the Michigan Township Association Board of Directors put the question before the membership at the MTA annual meeting in 2012, where it was voted down by the MTA membership in attendance. However, a state representative intends to introduce and actively promote legislation to make nonpartisan township offices optional to townships, as an option rather than a mandate. The bill creates a policy dilemma for MTA between continued policy guidance on the question based on the 2012 annual meeting vote. So that's why it's been brought before you tonight. Everyone has the same information, and I am in agreement of adopting the resolution. I don't know if Dan can give us any weigh-in on that. We are members of Michigan Township Association and have been longstanding members as a township.
Yeah, I mean, so you're in agreement of supporting the option. So if we support this, it doesn't mean we would run nonpartisan.
Correct.
It would mean it gives, if the it just gives us, lets them basically take a tally of the 1,240 townships in the state so that they can make an official position known to the legislature. They lobby on our behalf. And I personally tend to, well, maybe I shouldn't say my personal opinion. Did you meant to support it?
No, I meant to ask the question of the attorney, what were his thoughts on this?
Well, currently, it's a partisan position, and until you change state law, it's going to remain a partisan position. So as I understand the resolution, it would be to have this legislative body recommend to the state to amend the statute to make it a not, or give us the option to decide whether it's partisan or nonpartisan.
And what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's more a political decision.
Yeah, it's a decision of this board, and I'll say this. I
Nice move.
met with the outgoing director of the MTA and several of the township supervisors that represent the largest townships in the state on Friday. There's general consensus from that group of support because it would give us local control. And typically, the MTA supports anything that gives us local control, meaning if we do nothing, the elections run as is. If we decided to pass a resolution to say we would run as nonpartisan, like a lot of cities do, then that would be an option for us to opt in. If we do nothing, it would continue the way it is. So typically, that's the positive side of it would be to allow local control and let us to make those decisions. Yeah, Mike.
My opinion is, if it ain't broke, why fix it? If I want to be nonpartisan, why don't we become a city? But they're under a charter, and that's what they do. Your cities, villages, your school boards are nonpartisan, and judges. All right. I remember when this township, Lillian Hutchinson will back me up, when this township was solid Democrat. And through the decades, it has now swung to Republican. Let the voters decide. They need to know what the candidates stand for instead of this, well, I'm nonpartisan, I'm neutral. I don't want to be neutral. I think the elector needs to know where you stand on the issues. And where this problem lies is with Washington, D.C. We're not Washington, D.C. You know, we have common sense here. We treat people with civility and respect, I think, because we live among you. We're your state legislature and national legislatures, they don't have to answer to you. Some do, some don't. So I'm opposed to it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
Keep it as it is.
Anybody else? I mean, I just know that, I don't want to name names, but I know people that have run for this board and not been honest with where they fall politically because they knew they wouldn't be expedient and give them the opportunity to serve our community. So I personally like the opportunity for us to make that decision. I don't think you need to be a city, and I also don't think that we're talking, I can't think of the last time we talked about Roe v. Wade or things that are really divisive issues at this platform. So that's why I would support it and let the residents, frankly, I think it makes us work harder for our jobs. I think the easy thing for us up here is, in my opinion, is to status quo. I think if it was nonpartisan, it makes you work really hard because it's the best two candidates in the primary would have to face off in November, and the residents would get to pick from the best two candidates. So I think everybody knows where most of us lie politically, but that's why I would favor this. And still, even if it was passed, we would still have to take some affirmative action to change the way we would operate if we wanted to go nonpartisan. That's my 2 cents. You heard mine, you heard Mike's. Anybody else want to weigh in and propose a motion?
I just wanted to just say, I didn't have an opinion on this, but because MTA was asking us as a board, I felt obligated to bring it to the board. And I would have to say, I would like to have the opportunity to choose. I think it's important that we look at this, if the MTA is asking us to consider passing it, so that they can go before the state and it become legislation, then they are people that represent us. I think it's a reasonable request. And I'm just wondering, Dan, I don't fully understand this. Would you never be able to run in either party if you declared that we were going to have township sitting boards nonpartisan across the board?
Right, I mean, you would show up on the ballot as, there would be no designation of party affiliation. So there would just be a list of names, very similar to, I believe, OCC, Oakland Community College, which is on your ballot, and if, the cities and so forth.
Yeah.
Just be a list of candidates.
Yeah, I'm really
School
proud
board,
of my
yeah.
political affiliation. I don't know that I could just lay that aside.
Well, again, they're just looking for something from us. We don't have to beat it up too much. I mean, they're basically, this is a straw poll.
Yep.
And when I talked to them on Friday, they were just slightly in favor. I think they'd received a little over 100 responses from the 1,240 townships. There are 1,240 townships in the state of Michigan, fast fact. Then they've gotten about 100 responses, and they're slightly leaning in favor of, in the way the, I'll just give you one example. I don't disagree with what you both said about your political affiliation. There's a community that's in the SEMCOG region that has just shifted in the last election cycle. And you could have a ballot initiative like a recreational marijuana initiative that drives people to the polls. You could have a full changeover of the board. And some communities, if that didn't happen in the midterm, would have experienced that. One of the largest townships in the state of Michigan has shifted from one political affiliation to the other. And so if people just do straight ticket vote, this forces people, in my opinion, to do their research and understand what the candidates stand for, not just what party they align with. And in communities where the affiliation changes, it gives the opportunity for the best candidates, not just the person that is on the right team during that term, whether or not the president is ticking off the world or doing the most amazing job. So I again, just giving you a little counter doesn't mean you have to not be a Republican or not be a Democrat and not wear that proudly. You're not taking you're not putting that aside. It just gives you the opportunity to, as a community, choose. So that's I'm done giving you I just was giving you the pro to the con, or the con to the pro, whatever it is.
How about John had a...
John, go ahead.
Again, it's almost like, oh, we're just doing this, and that's what this says now. But I'd rather just come out, it's like I oppose it. Yes, I like to have, the question be my choice, but I don't think the legislature's going to go that way you know, as it's kind of going now, or it's just going to change it and just, they're going to probably go all the way. And they're going to, you know, either change it to nonpartisan or not, you know. And of course, if it comes back, one of the problems with that is it came back, you know, we're going to bring back that you can just vote. Remember? You used to be able to just go in there and select your party thing and vote. And the problem was people then didn't continue on to go to the nonpartisan. And that's just sometimes the way it is. So, you know. So, you know, it does say something, in my mind, it does say something. You affiliate with a party and, you know, you're kind of going in that coattails too. It says something about you.
Well, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that we had someone that served on this board that ran as a Democrat, lost, then ran as a Republican and won. And I don't necessarily know that their political ideals changed. They just realized if they wanted to get elected here, they had to put an R after their name. That's fact. That's not an opinion.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Donnie?
I just think that right now our decisiveness, or indecisiveness in the federal government has influenced our local election, just as last year. And I think that it could hinder who's the best candidate for the position based on how the party may flip one way or the other, because people are voting locally on what their political opinion is federally. And I think that might hinder us as a local government on what's best for the people and who works the hardest. And it's all about hard work and getting the job done, and that's what should be voted on, not what party you're affiliated with. So I'm just kind of in favor just because of the mayhem that's been going on.
I need a motion from someone, please, and then we can at least vote on it and see where we fall. Julia?
I just wanted to say one more thing, that I agree with both of you, that when it comes to this kind of stuff, it seems, from me being the newest one up here, that people should know who's going to be the best to get the job done and not just one specific thing.
Donnie?
So is there a motion on here?
It's right there.
Right. Where?
Can I just say one more
Adopt the
thing?
resolution, support or in opposition.
Chris,
Yeah.
before the motion is made, our voters are so well informed.
Oh, yes.
They know who is doing the best job. And I don't think being partisan, nonpartisan is going to change that. Our voting people are completely informed. I see it all the time. So I don't think that this is a tool that's going to put the best person forward. I think our people are doing their job, researching all the issues.
I would just, the only thing I would say, I just respectfully disagree. We have a lot of people that are busy professionals that don't even know my name, or your name, frankly. There's a lot of people that are engaged, but I think it forces people to educate themselves if they're going to vote and not just vote one way or another on a political party. And I do think that the perfect example to this point is we spent $4,000 mailing a postcard to every resident letting them know that Odd Job was no longer licensed to pick up garbage. And the number of people that are still calling today that still don't know is crazy to me. How many people, I mean, yes, the number is less, but I still think that we do hear from a very well-informed, probably 10% of our population, and there's probably a decently informed, probably 20% more. But I do think there's a lot of people that are just very busy that don't, you know, remember there's 40,000 people we represent, and we're lucky if we get 50 people to show up and engage with us. So that was my point. I don't know. All right, Donnie, go ahead.
I'd just like to make a motion
Yep.
to adopt the resolution as presented.
Well, you have to say in support or in opposition.
Oh, I am in support.
Okay. Steele is in support. Is there support for the resolution in support? And remember, this is just sending.
No. You got to say that you're going to adopt a motion, and you got some choices in
Right,
the
it's gotta
resolution.
be more than that.
Then we vote yes or no.
Right.
That's the way it's being presented
She
here.
basically said in support, and the be it resolved, the Township Board is on record in either check support or opposition to legislation that would allow Township Boards the option to have its elected offices appear nonpartisan on the ballot. You don't, it says if.
And that's your resolution, but you got to pick one of those two and say, the resolution is we're in support or in opposition, and then yes, no is the vote on that
And I asked
resolution.
that question, and what did you say, Donnie?
Be it resolved that the Township Board is on record in support.
Right. Okay. Support. So that's the motion. Is there support in Is there support of the motion?
Support.
Dalrymple. Okay, discussion, further discussion. There's a chance this never, ever, ever comes back to us, but there's a chance it
The
does.
state legislature scares the heck out of me.
Well, there's some people that would say that about us.
You're right.
But I agree, Mike. Is there any other discussion for the board? Any public comment on this? It's 10, no one's running forward, 9:45. Would you call the roll? If you vote yes, you're saying that we would send a letter to the board, a resolution saying that the board supports the potential for us to choose whether we run partisan or not. If you vote no, then obviously it's no. Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Flood,
No.
Steinmal,
No.
Barnett,
Yes.
Schultz, no. Steele,
Yes.
Bernie,
No.
and Dalrymple.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that failed, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. No, 4-3. Okay, so, thank you.
This goes to them,
It goes to them as if it failed.
and then it says it wasn't adopted.
Right, so it would, yeah, Penny knows what to do, right?
Not right now, I don't.
But you
I'm
will.
a little bit confused. We didn't adopt a resolution, so we don't do jack. That's the way I'm looking at this thing.
No, I think you would still send this to them.
Then we
showing
need
that
a
it didn't-
motion on the floor in opposition of this. If I'm certifying a resolution, I've got to have a resolution that passed or failed. And right now, Dan,
Well, I would agree with that, Penny.
thank you.
It says-
I have to have a resolution, and I don't have a resolution right now.
Okay, but just so everyone's, I'll put it on the screen, it says the motion was declared either check adopted or not adopted. So it gives you the opportunity. You could say it was made in support, and you can put the roll call vote, and then you can say not
I
adopted.
would never certify this
Okay.
for that reason that I just stated. So we need a motion if we're in opposition of it. Am I correct on that, Dan, or not?
That's not the way it's written by the MTA, but I agree with you, Clerk Schultz. That's the way that I have always known resolutions get passed, by a majority vote of the board.
Right, and I can't certify something that the
Okay,
board
so does somebody,
didn't
that's fine.
pass.
Yep.
I was just reading right there where it says the motion was declared adopted.
So I would like to make
Yeah,
the
it does.
motion.
Go ahead, Penny.
I move that the Township Board is in opposition to legislation that would allow Township Boards the option to have an elected office appear as nonpartisan on the ballot.
Support.
Okay, and let's
Just go for it.
roll call, please. Got a hunch I know it's going to be the total.
Okay, Steinmal,
Yes.
Barnett.
No.
Schultz, yes. Steele.
No.
Bernie.
Yes.
Dalrymple.
No.
Flood.
I can't abstain, can I?
Come on.
You're a
Floyd.
stinker.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have an affirmative motion to say no.
And now I will certify this resolution.
If you're not confused yet, consider running for Township Board, please. Yeah. All right, thank you. See, but that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Now you know our public affiliation.
All right. If you were confused, never mind, I won't even elaborate. Now we have some reports that completes our regular agenda. We have the Bernie report, the police and fire reports, lots of activity. It's all available for your viewing pleasure on our website. I'd entertain a motion to receive and file the police and fire reports.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Bernie, supported by Flood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next, we have two reports that were combined. They should have been one, and Penny made that clear that up at the beginning of the meeting. These are items B and C in the agenda, but they're both the financial statements from December 2018 and the revenue expenditure and balance sheets. Is there a motion to receive and file?
I move to receive and file.
Support.
Comments or discussion on this?
Thank you so much for providing that information.
You're welcome. That's Barb.
Great job.
She does it every time. She's doing a great job.
Thank you, Barb.
Okay, any other discussion, public comment? It's let's see, page 485 to page 691, so jump in and read them if you're interested. Lots of numbers there. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We have three more. Second meeting of the augmented drainage board notice. Penny.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm getting this stuff in the office, and I just got to get it out to you guys, and this is why this is happening. So, this is our notice, came from the Drainage Board. I want to make sure the public's aware of this, and I move that we receive and file this report as presented.
Okay, and Donnie, go ahead.
I have a comment. I don't know if Jeff wants to speak to this, but there's definite some maintenance infrastructure that's happening in Detroit for the sewage lift and the interceptor and the pump station, and it will be, no pun intended, trickling back to us in an expense coming next year in the face of probably $2 to $3 million, and it will affect every resident based on what they repair and what they find and the expense of those repairs.
Thanks for that good news.
Mr. Supervisor, I want to pile on. I was going to save it for my public comment, but we're talking about the Oakland County Cove Interceptor. If you're paying attention to the news, the big interceptor, that $75 million break they had down in Macomb, Oakland County has taken them to court so that they will make us pay for that. Stay tuned.
Okay, so receive and file it. Who motioned?
That was moved by
Me, and second by,
Flood.
okay, thank you.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Are we sending anybody to this meeting? It's tomorrow morning.
Are you know, Jeff?
I'm sorry, Jim.
About the
Are we
Macomb-
sending anybody to this meeting?
The Macomb Interceptor.
With?
Bill.
That's on always made, John.
Bill Vasco. Okay, two more reports. Oakland County fiscal year 2019 budget cards.
Yeah, so this is really cool. You guys got those beautiful cards in front of you. It basically tells you where your money's going across the board. So each board member has those. If you have any questions, please feel free to call the Board of Commissioners, and they can give you more information. And I move that we receive and file as presented.
Support.
Any discussion?
Dan Kelly's name's on here.
I do. Yeah.
Did we just get enough for the board members, or?
There's more upstairs, too.
Okay, so,
Yep.
like I said, when we receive and file, it means if members of the public are interested,
They
they
can
come
get
up
that?
and get some.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They sure can. It won't be the pretty orange. You guys have those, but we'll make it all available.
I just want to make a number out loud that the total revenues for the county is $893 million, which matches their expenditures, but that's their budget.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? One last one. Let's throw the animal shelter in tonight. What the heck?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really great things happening, and everybody needs to know that the census, the Oakland County Animal Control Division, conducts a census to ensure compliance with the Michigan State Dog Law of 1990 that requires all dogs have a license. So, if your dog doesn't have a license, please see our treasurer's office. She has those available. You can also purchase a 3-year license, but make sure to get your dog licensed and get yourself in compliance. If not, you will expect a visit from the Oakland County Animal Shelter and possible fines. And I move that we receive and file this report as presented.
Support.
Any questions, comments from the board? You can get the licenses from our treasurer's office upstairs. I did get a ticket last year. They were canvassing our community last year, and they will canvass again this year. I had licenses for both my dogs.
God bless you.
So I was not thrilled with the process. They basically looked if you had a dog and they wrote you a ticket, and it was your job to tell them that you had the dog's license properly. I didn't appreciate it, but we got a lot of complaints. It's not the sheriff's office, it's not the township ordinance enforcement, it's the Oakland County Animal Control. They were definitely in Silver Oaks last year, but it's a lot cheaper to get licenses for your dogs than to pay the ticket, which if they do write you that ticket, you just have to tell them the license number on your dogs and they make it go away, but it's a phone call and it's a little bit frustrating for some of our residents, but unless they change. I'll let you ask it in public comment in 1 second. Any other comments from the board on this?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public comment, come on down, ask your question. Anybody wants to address the board at 9:51, name and address for the record, and we'll answer your questions after you're
Cats,
done.
810 Pine Tree.
Yep.
If you have a dog's license and all that, you purchase it, right?
That's
Now, is this the state that's doing this thing for the
County.
county?
Yep.
Yep,
So
I'm going
when
to
I-
give you the number right now.
No, I don't have a dog. I'm just confused that, who do I get the dog license from?
I'm going to give you that number right now.
Okay, but is what I'm saying, if I get it from you, it's my job to do their job, to call.
It's frustrating. The process is definitely for.
That's what I'm saying with this politics
As a
stuff.
resident, and
You're
not,
talking to a newbie here.
Oh, Mark, as a resident and not a
That I
township
don't know.
supervisor, I was very frustrated with the process last summer. And they said, well, it got compliance, like that's what we do. So instead of them just taking the time to look up to see if I had licenses at that address, which I did, they just gave me. Anyway, it is the county. We sell the licenses here. We sell the county licenses. It's a convenience to our residents, so you don't have to drive to the county. So you can get them from the treasurer's office. It's not a township ordinance. It's a county ordinance, right?
Yeah, and it's a 1 and a 3-year dog license you can buy.
You can get a 1 year or a 3 year, and we
June
just
1st.
not
June
every
1st.
municipality sells them. Most of them do. Most of the larger ones, but some of the smaller ones you have to go to the county clerk's office and get them, or animal control, which is a pain. So it's a convenience, but we don't. Other than that, all we do is sell the license. They handle all the ordinance enforcement.
The other question I got to clarify or whatever is, I was the one talking about like the garbage and all that kind of stuff. Are you saying that right now, you guys don't have authority to keep them under control, whoever does the garbage right now? Other than what you did with, I had them too or whatever, but they didn't give you guys any choice. They didn't give you any information. Gosh.
Any other question? Do you have any other questions? I'll answer that, but we're going to keep moving.
Okay, well, that was the question. I didn't know that you guys didn't. Well, my question is, do you have authority now to keep businesses control, like a contractor for electrical, plumbing? You know what I'm saying, with your boards with permits and all that stuff. I know that you do there. I'm just wondering if you had that for the garbage too.
Good question. Thank you. I'll answer that. The ordinance allows us to, these companies have to have a license to pick up garbage in our community, and they have to have their vehicles licensed. We have the authority to remove their license to pick up garbage, which we did in the odd job situation after several months of trying to get them to give us information as to all the complaints and how they're going to resolve the issues. But really, the majority of the teeth in our ordinance are directed towards the fines that are directed towards our residents. If you leave garbage curbside longer than 24 hours, the first offense is $45, then, $60, then I think $90, then $500. It tiers up. Your third offense is like $500 fine and potential, it's a civil infraction, right? So, but yeah, on the other, Mr. Katz, we also, we are able to hold other contractors, assuming they pull building and electrical and other permits, then that's how we hold them accountable, and if they do work in our community. Any other public comment? Seeing no one come forward, bring it up to the board. And let's start with Brian tonight, just to be different.
Just real quick, the chamber continues to be very active. We have 8 events still to happen in April, so if you're looking to get involved, I would check out the Facebook page. They're all there. Lots of great things going on. So get involved. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Flood?
We had our first NOHAZ, North Oakland Household Hazardous Waste Collection event this past Saturday at Oxford Middle School. One of the best events I've attended. Average person was out of there in 10 minutes. In and out, 10 minutes. They had 4 lines set up. And then once we got that big 400 or 500 car push that we always get at the beginning, we just went down to 2 lines and kept steady all day. And they processed nearly 1,200 vehicles. And I'll tell you what really surprised me when you see them hauling stuff in is all the large TV sets, the big old picture tube types. You cannot get rid of those anywhere. NOHAZ takes them. We take them. And those are, your garbage people won't pick them up either because it's illegal to put those in a landfill. Those old Cathray tubes are very, very hazardous. So, that's it.
Thank you, Mike. Donnie?
Sad news about the church in France today, and prayers go out to them for the cathedral that has burnt. And just reminds me of what 9/11, how devastating that is for them. And that's on a bad note, but on a good note, I hope to see everybody on the cleanup day, which is April 27th. Every hand can be utilized. There's a lot of garbage floating around on the streets and on the trails, and it's amazing what a couple hours can do to help the community.
Thank
That's
you. John?
My only, I guess I got like a question, it's a comment, but is there anything we need to be concerned about? You know, they had to close the bridge over, on Golden Gate because of flooding. I'm really not quite sure I understand why it was flooding so bad, and is it just one of those things that sometimes happens in the spring because it's but I want to make sure it wasn't something on, like part of our drainage is something wrong that needs to be cleaned or whatever. But they closed that bridge for quite a bit of the weekend because, and I've never heard us having to close that bridge. Yeah, this past weekend.
So we have no jurisdiction over that bridge. Neither does Oakland County. It's a private bridge that was built by the residents of Golden Gate. And the reason that it was flooding is just simply huge amount of water coming through a tiny little space. And water seeks its own level, and sometimes it went before the bridge and after. Oakland County bears no responsibility in fixing that. We had to drag them kicking and screaming to put barricades up last year when the same thing happened. Actually, our fire department went and made sure people had a back entrance, if you will, through private residence from the sub next to them, just to get in and out. So we tried to do everything we could, but that is a spot that is a private for the homeowners there.
Okay. Like I said, I just want to make sure there wasn't something that the root cause was. It didn't seem like we had that much, but, maybe we do. And it sounds like it's an ongoing problem seasonally.
It is a seasonal problem, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, John?
Jeff Stout, Director of Public Service.
Yes.
Are you a Republican or Democrat? Sorry. All right.
Do you have a single?
Anything else,
John?
John?
Or double haul?
Okay. Julia?
I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone who works so hard on the trails. I'm an avid walker out there almost every day, and it looks so nice down there, and I can't wait for the drinking fountain to turn back on as soon as it stops freezing outside at night or snowing in the morning like it was this morning. That's it.
Thanks, Julia. Penny?
So it's been pretty exciting couple of weeks, and I want to give a shout out to our library assistants, James Pugh. A lot of you we're on the same page with the Orion Township and the library buttons, and they just wanted to make sure people know we're connected to each other, and they thought that was just a cute little campaign. Also, you saw in the front as well as in the back, we've planted a pinwheel garden, and that is in conjunction with the Orion Youth Assistants. Amber Kish reached out and she wanted us to do that. So we've got those in both areas, and that's to bring attention to child prevention abuse. So I wanted everybody to realize that. Also, there is a great event coming up at our Friendship Park on May 4th. It's a Young Life 5K. A group of the presenters came here that are coordinating that, and they really want people to feel welcome and invited. We're doing great with registrations, but we'd like to see that exceeded with a lot of families. There's a 5K as well as a 1 mile if you want to walk it or run it. So visit younglife.org and look for Fire Up 2019. It's a great opportunity for us to support this agency. And a little bit about them, just real briefly, it's Young Life doesn't start with a program. It starts with adults who are concerned about kids. And we want to make sure that the kids are learning and they're growing and they're connected in their community. So it's a great opportunity for you to get involved. Friday night, this was really nice. The Orion Neighborhood Television hosted their wonderful banquet that they do on an annual basis. And we have board members here that are serving on the commission for the cable commissioners, but that banquet is phenomenal. And it was very well attended. People had a great time, and a lot of people received some recognition, so that was sweet. And we want to support Orion Neighborhood Television. They're asking us to step out. They feel that their funding is under threat from the new FCC rules that could jeopardize some of their funding. So that's as simple as contact your legislatures. Call them, tell them you're not in support of this. And if you want more information about it, you can call the clerk's office, but it'd be a great idea to call Orion Neighborhood Television, ask to speak with Ian. And then, just so I want to just tell everybody here that I'm very grateful to serve as your township clerk, but I've also served in the assessor's office for years. This week marks 30 years that I've been with the township, employed in one way or another, and I'm so grateful to do this job. I don't take it for granted, and I'm very, very thankful to be able to serve the residents. And if there's anything I can do to improve, let me know. If there's any way you want to get involved with elections, let me know. And I'm really, really thankful to be here for 30 years. I still remember what I was wearing the day I walked in the building, and I remember what I was carrying the night I left. And I had 2 large manuals to become an assessor. So I've kept growing, and I think that's really important, and I want to encourage people. This is something, if you're interested in, get involved, and that's where it starts. And then also, on a sad note, and I hate to end that way, but I know that people will want to know that my deputy, Susan Paula, a lot of you may not know her because you don't see her much, but when she's needed, she's always here to help. Her mom passed away last night, and she was 80-some years old, and her name was Ruth Kuziak, and she passed away with a long bout with Alzheimer. But Susan's at peace with that. She knows that her mom's with the Lord, and if you get a chance, reach out to Susan, because she could just use a nice word of encouragement for her and her family. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny, and everyone. Just a couple things, and we'll get out of here. It was mentioned, the green-up was mentioned. That was great. We had a wonderful couple things just to mention, that the educational experience, you can see the group there at the MTA conference. A lot of our team we were well represented and learned a lot at the Michigan Townships Association conference. That's why we didn't have a meeting on April 1st, because we were all in Grand Rapids. We also had a really good joint meeting, in my opinion, last week with our Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, Corridor Improvement Authority, and Township Board. Great volunteers. And then just to let's see what else I got. Nobody cares anymore, right?
I do,
Yes, we
Chris,
do.
yeah.
Another 5K for the Veterans Memorial. This is a great event. 3rd year. It's going to be amazing.
Definitely
We're going to break ground on the Miracle League field. Hopefully, did we say next Friday, Jim? The schedule is not this Friday, but next Friday, and then we're going to have our first baseball game on June 15th.
So break ground on the Miracle, when is that?
All the people that are donating their time and services hate me because I'm pushing so hard on this free project, but we really, really are trying to hit a June 15th target date. So if anyone's interested in helping build this one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art, amazing field for special needs friends, not just in Orion, but the whole area, reach out to us and let us know. Breaking ground, we're going to send something out. Please help me remember tomorrow. Sam will confirm. But
Is that the 3rd of May?
no, it'd be like, what's next Friday?
April 19th?
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's
Wait, no.
no,
This
it's the week,
Friday.
a week from
26th.
April, the 26th.
Good Friday.
26. See, Jim's even getting stressed over there.
Oh, sorry.
It's Easter this weekend.
Yeah, Good Friday.
We've assembled a great
It's
team.
Easter this weekend.
And then, all right, so I just want to say thanks to Bob and Troy, and was it Bob, Troy, and Bob? Paul, sorry. For your activism and for sitting through the entire meeting.
Yeah, you win a prize.
But I think this is a great way to end. And if anyone's still, besides my mom, still watching, besides a few of you here, this is not easy to sit up here, and it's a privilege. You can see we don't always agree, And like when I first met with you, Bob, I'm like, man, we got to do this like tomorrow. And then I heard some counterpoint. It's like it's so difficult. We have to always try to think about what's best for most. And we are never going to make everybody happy. I want to help fix your issue. I think hopefully we've tried. We've taken some different approaches, haven't been successful. Know that an ordinance is not a simple thing. I mean, we hate talk for 2 hours about a garbage ordinance tonight. With a community with 42 lakes larger than 5 acres, you can bet there are going to be people that are not anxious, that are anxious and not excited about us telling them what they can and can't do in the water in front of their home. So that will be, we will need information from you. Certainly, we have other communities we can look at, but that will be, we'll let you know when we can get that on an upcoming board meeting. But thank you, guys. I wanted to thank you and everyone that came to give input.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone. Somebody want to adjourn us?
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
10:06, we're adjourned. Hey, welcome.